Becky Madure is suing her former friend, Becky Seifert, for the return of a Harley-Davidson motorcycle and for ruining her credit.
All rise. Yeah, this is case number 454 on the calendar in the matter of Madure versus Seifert. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated, sir. Have a seat.
Ms. Madure, the defendant was a friend of yours.
Yes.
Who had terrible credit. And it is your claim that you were trying to be nice to her. And she asked if she could have a credit card, if you would take it out, make her co-holder of one of the cards. You did that for her. And the understanding was the bills would go to her and she would take care of the bills. And it is your claim that subsequent to that, she wanted to buy a motorcycle. And yes. Again, you agreed to be a friend and you co-signed the loan for the motorcycle with the understanding that she would make the payments promptly, which she failed to do. You subsequently found out that not only had she taken out the one credit card, but because she had all of your information, she took out a series of credit cards and built up a balance of thousands of dollars. She was also behind on the payments. She was behind on the payments on the bike as well. As a result of that, your credit, which had been pristine, took a dive. So you're suing for two things. You're suing for the return of the motorcycle to you or its value so that you can sell it and get out from under the payments. And second, you want damages for her ruining your credit. Ms. Seifert says that she kept her end of the bargain. She has paid on the motorcycle, although she acknowledges she doesn't pay in a prompt manner. She pays when they threaten her. That's not what she says, but I gather that's the case. That when they threaten to either sue her or repossess the motorcycle, she makes a payment. That still doesn't positively impact on your credit. And she says that she kept her end of the bargain by making the payments on the credit card. She also says that you opened up all these credit cards for her, not just the one that you say, but all of the others. When did you open up this credit card with her as a co-card holder?
Probably around June of '05, and there was only one card, and if there was all these credit cards...
No, just don't, you don't have to answer for her.
Okay.
You opened up one
June
credit...
of '05.
And with what financial institution?
MBNA, MasterCard, and both our names are on it.
And as far as you know, that is the only card that you authorized her to get?
Yes.
With your information?
Yes.
How many cards did she get using your information?
4 or 5, counting the second MBNA she took out, that she succeeded. I have documentation.
I'd like to see it, please.
Your Honor, there was only one MBNA card. There wasn't two.
I have how many?
There was two Chase. There was one MBNA.
No.
Ms. Seifert, how many cards did the plaintiff agree to take out in your name?
Ma'am, I went to with her information because...
Listen.
We never determined a number. The cards that I had, that I used, several of them were mailed to her home, to her address. I didn't go to her house and steal those cards.
Ms. Seifert, you don't honestly expect, coming here today, that you're going to get over on me,
No,
right?
I don't. I'm
Good.
just telling you.
So then let me ask the questions and don't skirt around the answers because I'll take you and I shake you. And then I get the answer.
Okay.
You came to the plaintiff and asked her if she could take out a credit card and put you as a co-holder on a credit card so that you would have a credit card to start to build up your credit. That's what you asked her, I assume. Is that right?
She offered.
Well, how would she know that you needed it, madam, unless she knew that you didn't have a credit card?
Because we were going on vacation together and we were talking about finances for vacation and the things our kids could and couldn't do.
And?
And I explained to her that I did not have a credit card with much credit on it.
That's okay, good. So she agreed to get one credit card. Now, after she got the one credit card in June of 2005, when did you apply for the other credit cards?
I did it all at the same time on when I got the one credit card.
Just a second. I told you, don't play with me.
I'm
smarter than you are. You just said to me, I got the other credit cards on after I got the one credit card.
That's not what I said.
That's exactly what you just said. I have a tape.
The one time on and several cards were mailed to her house, and she knows that.
Don't tell me what she knows. Why did you take advantage of a situation where she said she would get you a credit card?
It was very bad judgment on my part.
Now, when you got these credit cards, did you use them to make purchases?
Yes, I did.
Did you pay all the credit cards on time?
No, ma'am, I didn't.
Then you ruined her credit.
Then I signed to be responsible for all of them, all the papers she asked me to, and it was taken off of her credit.
Listen to me. You show me where, once you signed a piece of paper to be responsible, because so far you're irresponsible, it impacted positively on her credit? Show me.
I don't know where it acted positively, but she was even told it was taken off her credit after the affidavits were signed, and I also have 2 receipts for $6,500 we've paid her.
Just a sec. For?
Towards the credit cards.
Well,
and
you didn't pay it to her,
owed.
you paid it to the credit card for things that you
we
bought.
gave it directly to her to take care of it.
Doesn't make any difference, madam. Don't you get it? Once you become a deadbeat in the credit card world, you don't automatically become not a deadbeat just because you pay the credit card. You remain a deadbeat.
But they said that because they called it fraudulent, it would come off of her report.
So you acknowledge that you fraudulently
No,
applied?
she made me sign those papers because if I didn't, because I'm on probation, she was going to call my probation officer, which she threatens to do all the time.
Sounds like a great idea to me. Now, let's get to the motorcycle. She also co-signed a loan for you for a motorcycle. Is there any reason why you did that, madam?
I was trying to be good-hearted, which I will never do again.
You have children?
Yes, I'll never even co-sign for my children. I've learned a lesson the worst way.
Okay. Now, do you pay for the motorcycle on time?
No, ma'am, I haven't.
Which means that you have destroyed her credit.
Yes, ma'am, I probably have with the motorcycle.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Your motorcycles?
I have 2 motorcycles, yes.
Well, why don't you sell one?
Because I like them.
Yeah, but you live in a home with this lady, and she's got a problem. So why don't you help her fix it?
And later today,
Was he more exciting when you were together?
He has a problem with confrontation, Your Honor.
Ah, and I love confrontation. That's why we don't get along.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Vicky Madure claims former friend Becky Seifert ruined her credit by not paying on credit cards she helped her get.
Good. Now I'd like to see what papers you have.
They asked me to bring, I brought a picture of the motorcycle. She wants the motorcycle back, but the title is solely in my name. So if she wants the bike back, she's going to have to get my name off the title because I'm liable for anybody that she lets ride that bike, and she's not capable of riding it herself.
Just a second.
And then I have a statement now
you...
that shows that all my payments are current.
You make your payments late.
Well, I mean, it shows that I'm current right now.
I don't care whether you're current right now. You make your payments late. Can I see the title to the motorcycle, please? When did you co-sign on the motorcycle?
October 05.
How much have you paid on the motorcycle?
I've made all the payments except the ones she made, and I paid her back for them.
How much do you pay?
$250 a month, ma'am.
How much is the loan?
She owes, right now, there's still almost $12,000 owed. Right here it is. $11,818.42 owed.
Who are you?
Becky's boyfriend.
Stand up. What do you do for a living?
Run a rubber mill.
You earn a living?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, why don't you refinance this motorcycle?
I already have one in my name.
So what?
I don't know, ma'am.
What?
This was between them.
Well, I understand that, but you live with her. You sleep with her.
Yes.
So why should she be on the hook for her bad credit?
She was having trouble with her credit way before us.
I'm asking you a question. I just said to you, she sleeps with you, you live with her. Why don't you, the two of you, refinance this motorcycle and get it out of her name?
Well, I've got too much in my name right now with my house, my cars, and my motorcycles, so...
Your motorcycles?
I have 2 motorcycles, yes.
Well, why don't you sell one?
Because I like them.
Yeah, but you have a problem. You live in a home with this lady, and she's got a problem. So why don't you help her fix it?
Well, I did. I took out a 401k loan and paid off the credit cards that she had with her to help her out. I mean...
What does she do?
Huh?
What do you mean, huh? What does she do?
What does she do?
Yeah, what does she do?
As far as?
As far as a livelihood.
She works in a doctor's office.
She make a living?
Yes.
So why doesn't she refinance it?
Your Honor, I don't know.
Why don't you refinance it?
I can't get it just in my name, Your Honor.
Well, maybe you can get it in his name. He owns his own home.
Well, we haven't tried that, but the last time he tried to get a loan, they said he had too much credit out.
Then why don't you sell the motorcycle?
I just haven't found anybody that'll buy it. It's not worth what we owe on it.
Now, she says she wanted to sell it. Her problem was she couldn't get what was owed on it. So you would have no problem signing it over to her, right?
As long as it's out of my name, I have no problem, and I've told her that
Fine,
before.
absolutely perfect. Have her sign this over to her,
That's
please.
a memorandum title, ma'am.
So?
But that is not the actual title.
So, I understand that. The actual title has a lien on it. She can deal with that. As a matter of fact, we'll prepare that order that you'll sign.
That's fine.
Good. Now we know that this is now your motorcycle. We will prepare that order. Now you're suing her for $3,000 because in addition to the return of the value of the motorcycle, you want damages for ruining your credit, right?
Yes.
And hopefully the $3,000 that you're suing for that will help compensate you for the loss that you're going to suffer on the motorcycle. Do you understand?
Yes.
Very good. Judging for the plaintiff, in the addition to the order that this will now be in your name, subject to the lien, judging for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,000. That's all. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I am so happy. She's out of my life.
I'm just glad the motorcycle's gone and I don't have...
You know, there are very few people that make my eye twitch.
I have, so it's very worth it to get out of an abusive relationship.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Engelhardt versus Sikowski. Step forward, please.
21-year-old Kimberly Engelhardt is suing her former friend, 21-year-old Denise Sikowski, for the cost of 2 tickets to a reggae festival.
Miss Engelhardt,
Yes.
according to the complaint that I read, a group of people were going to a concert, and the defendant was a friend of yours.
Correct.
You asked her if she wanted to join group at the concert. You say that Miss Sikowski said that she definitely wanted to go, along with her boyfriend. You put the pair of tickets on your credit card. Turns out that only Miss Sikowski went. You wanted to pay for both of the tickets. The remainder on her ticket. She didn't give you the full amount.
Yes.
Miss Sikowski says she only said she was ready to go to the concert, and her boyfriend hadn't committed to go to the concert, and if you didn't think long and hard enough about contacting him, then that's your problem, not hers. He didn't go. So, Miss Sikowski, is this the boyfriend?
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me your name.
I'm Chris Holton.
How old are you, Chris?
I'm 20.
And you?
21.
How long have you been a couple?
For almost 2 years.
Do you live together?
Yes, ma'am.
You live together in an apartment that you share?
We lived together in an apartment for a year, and then we live in a house now.
That you
together.
lease?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. When was the concert?
The first weekend in August.
What kind of concert was it?
It was a reggae festival.
A reggae festival?
Yes, it was 3 day long.
Where do you stay?
You camp along the river, and wherever there's a place, you set up your tent.
Sounds delicious. Okay. Now, Miss Sikowski, when your friend Miss Engelhardt discussed it with you, tell me what you said to her.
Well, first of all, it was all 4 of us at my apartment, and
4 of you, including this gentleman?
Yes, ma'am.
That's your boyfriend?
Yes.
And she asked us, she had already paid for all 4 of the tickets. And I said that that sounded lovely, and I wanted to go definitely. And Chris said that it sounded good, but he could not commit to it because he didn't know his financial state right then and if he had other plans going on.
Is that what he said?
I am not exactly sure what he said, but I remember that she agreed to wanting to go.
She said she wanted to go. Did she say she or they?
She said she wanted to go, but later on, before the concert started, she told me that they were both going to go.
When you say before the concert started, when did she tell you that they were both going to go?
Maybe it was in July.
In between this first conversation, which was in what month, by the way? The first conversation at your house?
I believe it was in May.
Between May and July, had you tried to sell either one or both of these tickets?
No, I didn't, because I assumed that she would like to purchase the ticket, if not both of them.
Okay. But it wasn't until July that she told you they were both going to go?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Holton.
Yes.
Tell me about your plans to go to this concert, sir.
Well, I never really had any official...
Look at me.
Never really had any official plans. She brought it up, like she said, in May. It sounded kind of interesting to me, but like this was months ahead of time. I never actually told her I would be going to the concert. I didn't even know if she actually had the tickets. We never said, hey, buy us the tickets and we'll pay you back.
Mr. Holton, 2 couples are going on a camping trip. Camping trip where they're going to share a tent and be away with each other for 3 days. And you want me to believe that you just weren't sure that you wanted to go with your live-in, with your significant other to this concert? Just because.
Well, I mean, honestly...
Judge, don't put your hand up. I'd like him to finish.
In all honesty, I never really wanted to go to a reggae festival. I'm not really into reggae music.
Did you tell that to your live-in?
Yeah, I don't think I really explained it to her that I wasn't going to go, but
Well,
I never...
I want you to explain to me what you explained to her, sir. If you didn't explain to her that you weren't going to go,
Well, I didn't...
how did you think somebody was going to read your mind that you weren't going to go?
Well, she wasn't trying to sell me a ticket. The plaintiff here is trying to sell a ticket to somebody that didn't want a ticket.
Now I'll hear you.
From the very beginning, Chris never said that he was going to take this ticket. He said it sounded like a good idea, but he said that he would never commit to the ticket. Kim and I had talked about this several times about him wanting the ticket, and I told her several times that Chris was not going to take the ticket, and I told Kim if she wants to talk to him about it, then go for it. Call him because she has the phone number. I ended up going to this place by myself.
I disagree with
30,000 people there.
Just a second. You didn't go there by yourself. According to the complaint that I read and your answer, you picked up his ticket. And you went with his ticket and yours. So you took 2 tickets.
Because it's $165. I would not want to leave under somebody's doorstep to be taken.
Why?
Because that was
What
my
did you,
friend.
What did you do with it?
My intentions were to give it back to her because...
Listen to me. You took both tickets. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Both tickets.
To give her one back.
I don't care what your intention was. You took both tickets.
It's $165 underneath somebody's doorstep.
That's not the problem. The problem is you took both tickets.
It would be my fault if it was lost in the first place.
Well, what did you do with it?
I took it with me, and I never found Kim. I tried calling her several times. I was there by myself. I ended up having to sleep on the side of a road because I could not find her to go camping with her, and I couldn't find her the second day. They wanted $80 for parking. I spent over $160 getting up to this festival and then trying to find my friend. She never even called me to notify me where she was at or where her camping grounds were because we were supposed to camp together, and she never called me or anything.
Who's the we?
Myself, Kim, and her boyfriend.
Just the 3 of you?
Yes.
Did you know that it was just going to be the 3 of you camping together?
The day before that we left, I found out Chris wasn't going to go.
Just a second. Was that the first time you found out he wasn't going to go?
It might have been a day before, but it was within 24 hours of the concert.
Tell me who told you he wasn't going.
Denise told me that he wasn't going.
And what did you say to her?
I said, well, what are we going to do with that ticket? Because, you know, it was intended for him. I hadn't tried to give it to anybody else because I was under the assumption that
he was going until he had to do paperwork on the new house. Don't talk over me.
Sorry.
So what did she say?
She told me that she was going to try to go up the next day because she had a lot of stuff going on. And I said, okay, that's fine. We would try to meet up at the concert. But what I didn't know was that there would be 20,000 people at this concert and that I wouldn't be able to find her.
How much did you lay out for those 2 tickets?
It was a total of $330 for both tickets.
And how much money did she give you?
She gave me $65.
Is that correct?
Yeah, no, Your Honor, that's not true. I paid her the full amount for that ticket.
No, that is not
Show
true.
me.
I paid her with cash.
She paid me $65
and
said, I'll give you the rest later because she was paying me installments.
I paid her 2 installments.
1 installment.
I believe you, Miss Englehart. I believe you. I believe she gave you $65. You owe her $265. That's all. Judgment for the plaintiff. Step out.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Because it's obvious you can't really trust friends anymore.
It's quite stupid, actually, but she was the one that decided to end our friendship, and, you know, that's fine by me because she's a really shady person.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Plaza versus Kaplan. Step forward.
Car salesman Gadiel Plaza is suing former customer Kelly Kaplan for money she used on a down payment for a car. Kelly says Gadiel has been stalking her.
Mr. Plaza, you met the defendant when she came into the place where you work to purchase a car. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And it is your claim that you made a loan to her for half of the down payment on a car when she prevailed upon you to do that because she was in dire financial straits. You want that $500 back. In addition, she caused you, really, according to you, to be fired from your job.
That is correct.
Just for my own information, where's the car?
It's in my possession, ma'am.
So you have the car?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Mr. Plaza, how long had you worked for this company?
Approximately a month and a half.
Before Ms. Kaplan came in?
That is correct.
Would you tell me the date she came in?
She came in on June the 10th.
Tell me about it.
Mrs. Kaplan came in on an appointment she had, and I was the salesperson who helped her. Upon picking a vehicle out of our inventory, while we were processing her financing forms, she broke down and began to cry. And I asked her, what's the matter? She said she felt bad because she was given a car, you know, her car was getting repossessed and all that. So I asked her, then don't buy the car. It's okay. There's no pressure to buy the car. She made a couple phone calls and came back and decided we'd look for a different car, a less expensive car. So when we found another car, we had the same problem. She broke down again and she started to cry. And, I called my supervisor. He came over and talked to her a little bit. She agreed to buy the car. When it was discussed on the financial terms of the loan, we told her she needed to put down $1,000 to obtain this loan.
Okay, now that is agreed so far, Ms. Kaplan. There was a
ma'am.
$1,000 down payment that was required for this car that you still have in your possession. Is
Yes,
that
ma'am.
correct?
That's correct.
But you did not give him $1,000.
No, ma'am.
You gave him $500.
Correct.
And when were you supposed to give him the other $500?
I was supposed to give the dealership the other $500 on the 30th of June when I was paid.
And did you take the car out of the dealership around the 10th of June?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
Okay, well, that was very nice of them to let you take the car out without a full deposit.
Yes, ma'am, but it's not an unpracticed term in buying cars that people split up their down payments.
Listen to me. I've purchased cars. I didn't split up my down payment. Before they let me take a car out, I had to give them the whole down payment. That's my understanding of cars.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Want justice? Go to judgejudy.com or call 1-888-800-JUDY.
Okay, so far, she's shy $500. Tell me what happened, Mr. Plaza.
Company policy, the customer is supposed to bring the remaining...
Just tell me what you did.
On the date that the rest of the down payment was due, my manager...
Which was what date?
Which was 7 days after the 10th, the 17th.
Okay, 6/17. Manager came in and said, where's the other deposit?
Correct. I called Ms. Kaplan to find out. Couldn't get through to her. I, as a salesperson, am responsible for collecting all monies on the down payment.
So you laid it out for her?
Right. I asked her if, she could come in and pay the difference, and she said that no, she wouldn't have it till the 30th.
Okay. On the 30th, Ms. Kaplan, what happened?
Can I back up a moment, Your
No.
Honor? Okay.
No.
On the 30th, the money had already been paid by Mr. Plaza to
Correct.
the dealership.
So why didn't you give Mr. Plaza his $500 back?
I did not ask him to pay that money.
Who
and I
cares?
told
Who
him I
cares whether you asked him or not? That was your arrangement. Why didn't you give him back the $500 that he laid out of his own pocket?
I did not ask him to do that, and he had been harassing me, and I was uncomfortable with that. I called the corporate office, had filed a complaint with them, and they dismissed me of any obligation to them.
Well, I got to tell you something. You are not a very nice person. You're a hustler. You're a hustler. I don't know how many people you've hustled before, but you're not going to hustle me. You got a car, and the deal for the car was a certain price, $1,000 deposit, the rest in payments. And it seems to me, if you want him to stop harassing you, that on the 30th of June, you give him the $500. Instead of giving him the $500 on the 30th of June, you called the corporate office and had him fired. You're outrageous. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $500. Your counterclaim's dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
Some get clever.
That's the story. I'm sticking to it.
Liar, liar, pants on fire.
Others get hostile.
I'm going to tell you what happened.
Judge Judy gets the last word.
They don't keep me here because I'm gorgeous. They keep me here because I'm smart.
Obviously, her case didn't have a leg to stand on.
I did not ask for him to pay the money. I don't feel I owe him the money.
I came here to tell the truth, tell my side of the story.
I did not ask him to do that for me.
I think justice was served.
26-year-old Jamie Markle is suing her ex-boyfriend, Jeff Peters, for medical bills resulting from several assaults. Jamie claims Jeff beat her up because he thought she was cheating.
Now, this is case number 41 on the calendar in the matter of Markle versus Peters.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat.
Your complaint is that this gentleman, who used to be your boyfriend, assaulted you on 2 occasions.
Yes.
You want him to be responsible for those medical bills.
Yes,
the assaults took place around Christmas time of 2005, and the second one, according to you, about a month later?
About a month, yeah.
In January. Now, I read Mr. Peters' response very carefully, and he says that he sort of acknowledges the first assault, but certainly not the second. And he says that the second time you had him falsely arrested, and the first time that you vandalized his car. So he's counterclaiming. So let's start out with Christmas.
Okay.
Christmas 2005, how long had you been a couple?
Well, we met online the beginning of August of 05.
Okay, so about
4 or 5 months, yeah.
Tell me what happened.
Well, everything was great. He was the best boyfriend I ever had.
Just give me Christmas.
Christmas came and went. It was about the 28th of December, and we had been broke up off and on for about a week. And I had gone with a friend of mine over to her house, and he thought that I went and cheated on him because I went to a poker party with some of my girlfriends. And he just didn't believe me. He wouldn't believe me. He wouldn't believe a word I said, but we were separated at the time. So even if I had done something, which I didn't, he wouldn't accept that. It's none of his business. Exactly, but he would not accept that. So we got into a big argument.
Where?
Well, he picked me up from work at 9 p.m.
And you went with him?
Yes.
Why?
Because he was my ride.
So even though you were no longer together as a couple, he was still picking you up from work?
Yes.
Why?
Because I was staying with him. I didn't have anywhere else to stay. So he picked me up from work, and on the way home, I could tell something wasn't right, so I just kind of kept to myself because we weren't boyfriend, girlfriend anymore. We were supposed to just be friends. So I figured if he had something to tell me, he would just tell me. And next thing I know, he's punching me in the left side of my face, and he just kept repeating that, I know you slept with another guy. I know you slept with another guy. He demanded to know the name and so on and so forth, and I had not done anything. I didn't have a name to give him.
So what happened?
So he took me to this cul-de-sac somewhere. It was on the way in between work and home. I was really disoriented from him hitting me. I didn't really know exactly where we were, but all I know is that it was completely dark. There was no street lights. He took me out of the car, grabbed me by my neck, and held me. Held me up and choked me so hard that I started to black out, and I just kind of gave up because I was screaming, and there was nobody around. There was no lights, no buildings, no nothing. So I guess when I stopped struggling, he let me go, and I fell to the ground, and he said, get in the car. So I got in the car, and he said, well, when we get home, you're not going to cause a scene, you're not going to do anything, or I'll shove a knife through your face so fast that nobody will hear you.
What happened when you got home?
When we got home, I told him that I was going to walk to the hospital. I didn't want him to take me anywhere, and he blocked the door. He wouldn't let me out. So I tried to go to the fire escape door, and he came up behind me, and at the entrance of the kitchen, he pushed me in my back. And he pushed me so hard that my hands hit the door, and then my face hit, and I had to have 5 stitches put in my chin. It split open right away. I didn't know what had happened until I got downstairs to my neighbor's house and I saw blood.
When you left the hospital, and I assumed that was the next day, where did you go?
I went with my mother.
You went home to your mother's house?
Yes.
When you fell, who took you to the hospital?
My mother.
And what did you do, Mr. Peters?
I went to the bar.
Yes.
And that's about it. I figured the police were on their way, so I boogied down the fire escape and ran up the street to the bar.
Well, how did her face get cut like that?
I'm not denying that she did fall into the door, but I was kind of trying to beat her to the door and hold it shut because she was screaming bloody murder, and I didn't want the cops to come. So I kicked her feet in a hurry.
You tripped her?
Yeah, basically.
That's what you say in your answer.
Yeah.
You tripped her?
And she fell right and hit the door and split her chin open. Once I seen blood and she started screaming, I figured the cops would be there real quick, so I basically bounced.
What a prince.
Thank you.
That didn't require an answer, smarty pants. And when you got home that evening from the bar is when you found your car vandalized.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have any proof that Miss Markle did that?
No, my witness wouldn't come.
So that the answer is, Judge, I have no proof
Judge,
that she
I have
did
no proof. I'm assuming it didn't do that on its own, though.
Things happen. Never know who would do such a thing to a prince like you. Leaves his girlfriend bleeding in the house and takes off and goes to a bar. Things happen. So that part of your counterclaim is dismissed because you have no proof. Now, do you have medical bills from the hospital?
Yes, I have medical bills, and I have police reports.
From the 28th?
I don't have a police report for the 28th. I didn't file a report for the 28th. I told him that if it happened again, I would press.
I don't want to hear it. If it happened again, you should have gone to get him at the bar, taken him into custody, taken him to jail, let him cool off.
I understand.
Right?
That is what happened the second time.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I do not deny that I called her house and threatened to blow it up. It was not very cool, but, you know, I'd just been arrested twice in one day, and I was very, very upset.
And later today.
You still owe her $1,002, sir.
There were months where I gave her cash for rent.
That's too bad. That comes into the category of too bad.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Jamie Markle claims ex-boyfriend Jeff Peters assaulted her on several occasions. Jeff is countersuing for a false arrest and for vandalism to his car.
Okay, now you're at your mother's house, Miss Markle. Now we come to the genius in you. So tell me about what brought you to this man's company a month later in January.
Well, he kept calling my mother's house, and I would block every number he called from, and he would somehow go to another payphone or something and call me again. He kept apologizing over and over again, saying how sorry he was, how much he wanted to be my friend at least. And so I thought, okay, well, if we can be friends, then I would like to be his friend other than his
Why?
enemy. Because I didn't want to be his enemy, Your Honor.
You don't have to be anything. You know, I look out here in the gallery in this courtroom, and I see a lot of people, and I'm not their friend, right? I'm also not their enemy. I am their nothing.
Right.
You don't have to have him as an enemy if he's not your friend. You can have him as a nothing.
That's not an option with him, Your Honor.
Oh, it's an option, Rob. Trust me. He's going to get used to being a nothing. All right, so that's your next mistake.
Right.
You felt as if you wanted to have him as a friend.
Yes. So he took me to, he gave me a ride to get my taxes done. And on the way there, we were snipping at each other, and he started to wrap a T-shirt around his hand. And I said, "What's that for?" He said, "Because I'm going to hit you if you don't apologize."
Apologize for what?
I don't know, Your Honor. I don't know. So
what did you want her to apologize for, Mr. Peters?
For being manic and bipolar.
So you wanted her to apologize for being manic and bipolar?
Yes. She's being particularly manic that day.
Okay, so that's why you wanted her to apologize. Just wanted to know. Go ahead.
So I apologized, so I didn't get hit, pretty much.
So you said sorry.
I said, "I'm sorry. Genuinely, I apologize. I don't know what I'm apologizing for, but I do."
And
so something, I really don't remember what exactly happened next, but I do know that in result of that, he pulled into a parking garage and proceeded to hit me in the side of my face again.
It's a lie.
And so we got to the tax place, and I walked in, and there
what
was
did you say when he hit you?
I was like, "Please stop." I begged him to stop. And so we went ahead and went to the tax gallery. And
why did you go with him to the tax gallery?
Because I wanted to have some way to get a hold of the police.
Okay.
Because as of that moment, I was in a parking garage.
Okay.
And I
so
didn't
you went
want
with
to
him
get
to the
left
tax
there.
people.
So I went inside, and I saw a young lady on her cell phone, and I mouthed, "Help me." And I had bruises, you know, all over my face. So she went outside and called the police. This is...
I'd like to see the police report.
The police reports. There's one for harassment as well. He called my mother's house that night when he got out of jail and threatened to kill me, her, my 10-year-old niece, and blow the house up.
Okay. Now, Mr. Peters, we've already established that you believed, at least, that the plaintiff was responsible for vandalizing your car.
Yes, ma'am.
And that you had, in fact, assaulted her on December 28th.
Stripped her, yes.
The issue is whether you assaulted her again on January 31st. And that incident you deny. So you want to tell me, please, what happened and why you contacted her after you believed she vandalized your car?
Time had gone by, and I had certain needs.
Like what? Physical
needs. And so I started calling her and sweet-talking her, and everything was fine for a couple weeks. And we were seeing each other on and off. And that particular day was a really bad day. Right before this tax incident, I was arrested in another part of the city.
For what?
A guy pulled a knife on me, and I tried to run him over in my car.
Just a minute. You mean a stranger pulled a knife on you
Yes,
and you
ma'am.
tried to run him over?
Yes, ma'am.
Explain that to me, sir.
He just was basically a little case of road rage in the parking lot, and I told him F you, and he pulls out a big knife, and I slammed it in reverse, and I was going to run him over. I did it right in front of an undercover cop, and next thing I know, I'm cuffed and stuffed, and they took me down and booked me, and then released me, and she was nitpicking me, and as we were going, we started, fighting back and forth, and she started pulling my hair, and we were both kind of going at it.
Why? Shh, don't speak.
And it basically came to blows at the parking garage right down the street from the tax place. And, next thing I know, I thought it was over. I was like, okay, we got that out of our system, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Next thing I know, I'm sitting there smoking a cigarette, and 4 police cars pull up with their guns drawn, obviously thinking I kidnapped her. And I was very, very upset about that. I do not deny that I called her house and threatened to blow it up. I apologize about that. It was not very cool, but, you know, I'd just been arrested twice in one day, and I was very, very upset.
Mr. Peters, you told the police on that day that the marks on the plaintiff's face was from a week ago when you assaulted her in Kansas.
Yeah, it was, I might have said that.
Well, that's what you said.
I was trying to get out of
You said, that's what you said. So you were trying to get out of it, and so you lied to the police?
Yes.
Now, when you lied to the police, did you lie to them in the same affect that you're talking to me?
No, not really.
Well, did you lie to them, sir, with the affect of, please don't believe me?
No, I pretty much knew the jig was up. And
No, I'm asking you a question, sir. I'm asking you a question how one tells when you're telling the truth and when you're lying.
I have no idea. I generally speak the truth.
Well, you lied to the police and...
That's the police. I'll lie to the police any day of the week.
Okay.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I've already been shot.
Well-
Stabbed 3 times.
Doesn't that tell you something?
It's bad karma.
That's not bad karma, sir.
And later today,
When two people decide to play house together,
Yes.
work out a financial arrangement that ultimately will not involve the courts.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Jamie Markle claims ex-boyfriend Jeff Peters assaulted her on several occasions. Jeff is countersuing for a false arrest and for vandalism to his car.
You think you have some psychological problems, Mr. Peters? That was a question. It usually requires an answer.
I didn't hear the question part.
I said, do you think you have psychological problems,
I have an
Mr.
anger
Peters?
problem. So
You have an
yeah.
anger. Okay. Well, that's a good start, sir. That's a good start. What are you doing to address those problems?
Nothing.
That's not smart. You're 31 years old?
Yes, ma'am.
Somebody's going to kill you, or you're going to kill them.
I've already been shot.
Well-
Stabbed 3 times.
But, Mr. Peters, doesn't that tell you something about a deficiency that you have?
It's bad karma.
That's not bad karma, sir. Karma doesn't follow you around, Mr. Peters.
Sure it does.
No, it doesn't, sir. People create their own opportunities and people create their own situations. So you have a choice, Mr. Peters. Your choice is to either wind up in some alley because you've ticked off the wrong person and somebody is going to shoot you, and this time they're going to have better aim, or stab you and going to have a long enough knife to do some real damage, permanent damage, or you'll do it to somebody else, which will end up by you spending a substantial part of your life in prison. So, I mean, you have an opportunity to try to rectify that before it gets any worse. Miss Markle, listen to me, my dear. Is there something wrong with your mind?
No, not that I know of.
Well, he's bad news. Very, very, very bad news. And there comes a point where women have to understand that just being a bad boy is not attractive.
I understand.
Do you understand?
Yes, I do.
I certainly hope so, madam. I don't have the confidence that I wish I had in your judgment. You can either have a happy life or you can continue to be a bum magnet. So, choice is yours. Now, you're asking for $3,000 for these 2 assaults.
This is the second medical bill.
I don't need the second medical bill. I believe that he assaulted you. He acknowledges he assaulted you on one occasion, reluctantly acknowledges that he assaulted you on one occasion. There's no question he assaulted you on the second occasion. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,000. That's all.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Just man bashing, plain and simple.
That was the first I'd ever seen of his temper.
I've dated a lot of psychos.
I don't want to talk to him ever again. I don't want to see him.
21-year-old Erica Chandler is suing her ex-boyfriend, 22-year-old Andrew Erickson, for money owed from a botched eBay sale and for damaging her car while trying to park.
All rise. It's case number 99 on the calendar, the matter of Chandler versus Erickson. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Sir, have a seat, please.
Miss Chandler, Mr. Erickson used to be your boyfriend. Did you ever live together?
No, we'd talked about it, but never acted on it.
Your complaint is threefold. You sort of got the whole kitchen sink here.
Yeah.
Wanted to get everything off your chest now that the romance is over. I understand that. Not necessarily sympathetic yet, but I understand it. About a year ago, Mr. Erickson asked you to sell something for a family friend on your eBay account. And what he asked you to sell was supposedly a rare coin.
Mm-hmm.
You sold it, and the person who purchased it complained that it was a fake. They had already received the coin. There was a charge back to your account. So you were out $800 and some odd dollars. Is that right?
That's correct.
That was a year ago, June.
Right.
Subsequently, you opened up a joint bank account with him. But neither he nor this family member ever paid you back this $800.
Right.
Why not?
He had promised to pay me the money. When he had the money, he barely had a job.
Barely had a job, and you opened up a joint bank account with him? Why?
It was to make money, Your Honor. It was to sell items on eBay for my aunt. I agreed to go into it with him.
Why?
In order to pay back some of the money from the coin with the items that we sold on eBay.
He had no job. It was your aunt's property, your money. Why would you open a joint account with him?
Because he would have been able to help me like package the stuff and get the stuff ready to go, and which would have been worth money. So I agreed to open the bank account for him with him so that I wouldn't get caught in case something like that happened again.
Miss Chandler, I don't think so. I think you opened up a joint bank account with him because you were smitten with him.
It was strictly for eBay, Your Honor. We didn't have any other money go into there other than stuff for eBay.
Well, that's interesting because the second cause of action that you have is for some sort of overdrawn check that he put in the account.
Right. That was for my aunt's check bounce, the one that I wrote to her for the items that she'd given us to put on eBay, you know, because we were only taking a percentage to sell it for her. And so my aunt's check bounced. And
what does that have to do with him?
Because he was on the account with me. And the reason that it bounced was because of him. He is the only person that took money out of that account.
So what you're saying to me is, Miss Chandler, that this checking account that you had was to be used for eBay, but he used it for other things.
Right, which I wasn't aware of because
That's what happens, Miss Chandler, when you open up a joint checking account with somebody. That's why I'm saying to you.
I want you to understand that I'm not suing for any of the money that was in the checking account.
So what are you suing for?
The only thing that I'm suing for is that it is negative now, close to $500, which I am partially liable for, and
Absolutely.
I didn't make any of the charges. I have all the documentation right here.
Listen to me. Then you are asking the court to find him responsible for that $500 negative balance.
Right, which he caused.
Well, I'm saying to you, you're asking me to go back, look at this joint bank account, which either of you can take money out of and either of you can put money into and say who put money in and who took money out. And I'm not prepared to do that.
They're all charges from him.
So?
I just don't feel that I should be responsible for a negative balance that he solely caused. And he told me that this was after the fact because he told me that he took my name off the account. The negative balance only happened after we broke up.
Different story. When did he tell you he took your name off the account?
Let's see, the 9th month, September.
Mr. Erickson?
Never said that, Your Honor.
Were you no longer together in September?
That's correct.
Well, then why would you have a joint bank account with her?
We never closed the account together, Your Honor. That's all.
Then Mr. Erickson,
yes.
If you were no longer together after September of 2005, and the withdrawals that were made were yours.
The majority
after September of 2005.
After September, I've never used it, Your Honor.
Show me, after September.
From here on, Your Honor, all the highlighting in pink is all from his card. You can just flip to the page.
Is my name on that, Your Honor?
No, but the card number is.
Right, but I'm saying it could be her number.
If you flip to the beginning, Your Honor, there was one charge that I made while we were still together, which will be highlighted in yellow, which will show my card number. It should be for the amount of $100.
You have two totally different card numbers.
That's correct, Your Honor.
Okay, so you took all this money out for whatever. You went to McDonald's, you bought something for $2, you put it on this thing. You had an ATM withdrawal, cash withdrawal, $20. Cash withdrawal, $927. On your card, sir, $461. So you used this card after the two of you broke up?
Yes.
Okay, so why should she be responsible for that?
She used it too, Your Honor. And most of the money we made on eBay.
No, she didn't use it at all after September.
Okay, Your Honor. But what I'm saying is the stuff we sold on eBay, $70 of that was the stuff that she brought in. Everything else, I brought in. I sold on eBay, I shipped it, everything. That's what I'm saying.
What I'm saying to you is if you broke up in September, I believe her when she said you're going to take her name off the account so that she's not responsible for it anymore. That sounds logical. And your negative balance now is $500. Let's talk about this coin collection. Did you ask her to sell this coin collection
Yes,
for
I
you?
did, and it was on her account.
Yes, I know that it was on her account.
Yes.
And it turned out to be a fake. Your defense to that is she should have been smart enough to have it authenticated.
That's right, Your Honor. She should have taken it to a coin shop before we sold it and got verification.
Why didn't you do that?
It wasn't on my account, Your Honor. I wanted her to sell it on eBay. She should have had the, decency to do it herself.
Who was this friend that you got the coin from?
Friend of my mom's.
Name!
Marianne.
Shh, just a second. So I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do, sir. Is she still alive?
Yes, she is.
Good. You pay for it, and then you sue her and say, I've been forced to make this payment, and you have to pay me.
Okay.
Instead of standing there and just looking pretty. You got to have something up here. Beauty fades, dumb as forever, Mr. Erickson.
Yes, Your Honor.
Works as well for boys as it does for girls.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I don't think that you seriously anticipated that he was going to pay you to have this car fixed. And if you did, then you were operating in fantasy land.
And later today,
I can tell the difference between a made-up story and a story that has the ring of truth to it. What she just told me has the ring of truth to it. Do you understand?
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Erica Chandler claims ex-boyfriend Andrew Erickson owes for a botched eBay sale and for damage to her car.
Now, the last part of your lawsuit, Ms. Chandler, says that he damaged your car while you were together. You want to tell me about that?
Yes.
When was it?
That would have been March 4th of 2005. He told me, Your Honor, that...
He damaged your car in March of 2005, and if he didn't pay you for it, I wouldn't have sold the coin for him in June. I wouldn't have opened up a joint bank account for him in July. I would have shown him his walking papers.
I understand, Your Honor, but he said he was going to take it to a friend of his to
He
have
didn't do it, and he didn't do it March, April, May, June. If he didn't do it in 4 months, then you don't do him another favor and sell a coin for him. And if he didn't do it March, April, May, June, July, you don't open up a joint bank account with him unless you're smitten. And if you're smitten, that means you, so he damaged the car a little bit. Mr. Erickson, your defense is that she should have had insurance, and if she didn't have insurance, she asked me to drive her someplace, and she should have used her insurance, so it's not my problem. That's what you say. You know, you really should consider yourself very lucky. I don't know whether he means this answer to be a reflection of his character. If he does, you're very lucky that he's not in your life anymore. If he doesn't mean it, he shouldn't have said it to be flip. But meanwhile, I don't think that you seriously anticipated that he was going to pay you to have this car fixed. And if you did, then you were operating in fantasy land.
The reason, Your Honor, that I didn't turn it into my insurance and I didn't take care of it right away is because I had a $1,000 deductible on my car, and I knew that it wasn't going to be $1,000 to fix that. And I didn't have the money to fix it.
So, is it fixed now?
No, it is not.
And you're still driving the car?
Yes.
15 months later?
Yes, I'm waiting for him to pay me.
He's not. He's not going to pay you. So you know how you've looked at the scratch on the car for the last 15 months? You're going to continue to look at the scratch. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,381. Mr. Erickson, one of these days, someone is going to take advantage of you. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be there to sort of give you a wink. You have to do the right thing in this world, otherwise things come back and bite you in the behind. Do you understand?
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
Not always. May not happen tomorrow. May not happen the next day, but I'm telling you this, Mr. Erickson, it's been my life experience that when you don't do the right thing and treat people fairly, eventually it comes back to get you. Do you understand?
Yes, I do, yeah.
Thank you very much. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
He just uses people.
I think she's just a sad individual.
He's sleeping with men right now for money.
Oh, God. No, that's not true.
And he's not even gay.
She was sleeping with me when she was with her boyfriend.
Last time Mr. Erickson and I met, he tried to beat me and burn me with a cigarette.
He called me talking crap, and I went over there.
And he was drunk, and he was flailing like a stroke victim.
Be careful who you trust.
He's not exactly the type you take home to mom.
Stay away from, well, I wouldn't say women in general, but try to pick them better.
18-year-old Maritza Lopez is suing her former high school classmate, 18-year-old Heather Landry, for attacking her in a mall. Maritza claims Heather is carrying a high school grudge.
All rise. Parties have been sworn in, Your Honor. You may be seated. Ladies, have a seat.
Ms. Lopez, it is your claim that the defendant assaulted you in a mall.
Correct.
And you want your medical expenses paid. Ms. Landry says that you actually started up with her by throwing a can of soda on her. She says nobody was really injured in this incident, but that clearly you were the aggressor. You know each other from high school, is that correct?
Correct.
And it's my understanding that there was an unfortunate incident where you actually hit Ms. Landry in high school.
Mm-hmm.
When was that?
It was probably 4 months before graduation.
Had you been friendly before this incident in high school?
Yeah, I've known her since junior high.
Tell me about the incident in the high school, Miss Landry.
It was like a little party, a little barbecue,
and I was giving this guy a ride home, which happened to be like her boyfriend, I guess you can say. And she had came in the house crying hysterically to talk to him, and she was talking to him outside. And I had to go because his cousin was sick. And so I went out, I gave him about 20 minutes to talk, do whatever they had to do. And then I went out there and I told him, you know, we need to go. Are you staying or are you going with me? Because I needed to leave. I needed to get the sick guy home. And she got in my face and she was like, can't you see I'm crying here? Blah, 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 yelling at me. And I was like, I don't care. I just need to go. So he needs to make a decision. Then out of nowhere, she just like hit me.
Okay. And she apologized for that?
No. She did not apologize.
Never apologized to you?
No.
Okay, well, I can imagine you were pretty angry at that.
Yeah.
I can imagine you were.
Mm-hmm.
All right, now when was this incident in the mall? On what date?
The May 3rd, 2006.
Tell me your version of the events of that day, Ms. Lopez.
Okay, well, I was working at the mall at a store, and me and my manager decided to go get something to eat, so we ordered food from a restaurant there. I went to go get the food. As I walked in, I noticed that Heather and her friends were just sitting there. And, you know, I just didn't think anything of it. I just sat down, told the waitress that I was here for the pickup. I got my food and I walked back. So as soon as I got there, went on my 10-minute break, came back out. That's when I noticed that Heather and her friends were there.
In the store?
Right, in my store.
How many stores are in the mall? Would you say? Miss Landry, how many stores would you say were in the mall?
Maybe like 40, 45.
40 stores. How many girls were you with that day?
I was with 3 of my coworkers.
So there were 4 of you all together?
Yes.
How much after you saw Miss Landry at the food court did you see her in the store?
I think from the time I walked back and I went on my 10-minute break, it's probably like 15.
15 minutes?
Yeah, 5 minutes to probably like
Okay,
back.
good. All right, so you came out, you saw Miss Landry there with 3 of her friends, and what happened?
Basically, my assistant, Stacy, she came to me and I was just telling her, hey, do you know who's in here? She's like, no, who? And then like she hadn't noticed. So she looked and then she's like, don't worry about it. She's not going to say anything. You know, I was like, oh, I'm not even worried. I'm just, you know, it's pretty obvious that she came to my store out of all the stores in the mall. So she's like, well, do you feel uncomfortable? And I was like, I'm just here, whatever. I really don't care. She's like, well, how about you just go on a 3-minute break and go get me something to drink. So as I went to go get her soda and then I started walking back, I noticed that there was Heather and her friends waiting for the elevator. And I could just continue walking to my store, and all of a sudden I see her walking towards me, and I was like, great, what is she going to tell me? The first thing that came out of her mouth was, seriously, why do you still talk about me? She started saying about high school and how this is my opportunity to do something to her. I've been always talking, saying I want to kick her and all that stuff. And she was just basically giving me an opportunity to do it. And I just told her, you know what, you need to get over it. It's high school. She probably got annoyed because I kept saying, you need to get over it, you need to get over it. I was just repetitive throughout the whole thing.
And then what happened?
And then out of nowhere, she just punches me on my left side.
And then what happened?
So obviously I pushed her away. That's probably when the soda fell on her. I seriously did not want to hit her back. My first reaction was just to push her away or hold her down because I was working. I'm like, what am I supposed to do, really? I don't want to lose my job, and at the time I was getting promoted as assistant manager, and I knew I was probably going to lose the opportunity with the regional manager.
That all didn't go through your mind in a second. She punched you, according to you. You pushed her, soda fell on her. What happened next?
Basically, she was just she's probably swung at me as I tried to hold her 3 times, so it's total maybe 4 clean punches on this side.
Did you hit her?
No, I didn't hit her at the time. Throughout, probably towards the 4th time she hit me, I was like, I'm just going to defend myself because nobody's jumping in, nobody's coming.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fine. What kind of medical treatment did you receive?
It was just basically a checkup. He gave me medicine. I have the hospital bills right here.
I'd like to see the bill. Do you have photographs?
Yes, actually I do.
Okay. Now I'll hear you, Miss Landry.
Okay. That May 3rd, me and 3 of my coworkers were out to lunch at Red Robin, and my back was not facing her. I didn't see her at all. My friend Caitlin had noticed her, and so when she had told me, I turned around and I looked back, but I didn't see her anywhere. So we were still eating, we were chatting a little bit, finished up our meals, we paid, and then my friend Brandy that was with me, she wanted to get some sunglasses. And I had bought some in Anchor Blue. That's the only thing I buy there. So we went up there, we looked around for a second, didn't see anything, and we left. We were walking out towards the elevator, waiting for the elevator to come down, and we're standing there facing the elevator, and they hear my name, and I didn't hear it at first, and I turn around, and I see Maritza calling me. So I start walking towards her, what do you want, And she basically tells me, you know, we still have stuff we need to take care of from high school. We never finished it, blah, blah, blah. And I told her, you know, it's been over a year. I haven't seen you since then. I really don't care to bother with you. I'm over it. You know, I don't need to have nothing to do with you. And we were going back and forth for like maybe 30 seconds. I don't know where she throws her soda literally like on my face. I was drenched in like Sprite or some sticky Sierra Mist or something. And I couldn't really see at first. And my first reaction was just to push her away from me. And then we started going at it. I'm pretty sure I had the first hit, like actual hit. And we were going at it for about 10 to 15 seconds, and then it was over with, like in a matter of seconds. It was no big, like, fight.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Did you buy anything in her store?
No, I didn't.
How long were you in her store?
About 10 minutes.
That all doesn't make sense, Miss Landry.
And later today,
he was told not to go on the computer. He turned around and went into the adult sites. That's why we didn't want him to do it. Plus the fact that he's done it
was punched in the face by former high school classmate Heather Landry. Heather claims Maritza threw a soda in her face.
Who is this?
This is Maritza. She's one of my coworkers.
Marissa, you have a last name?
Ramos.
You were there on the 3rd of May?
No, not there at that actual fight. I wasn't there.
So how was she relevant?
Because after that altercation, about 2 days before I went to court for that, Maritza had showed up at my job looking for me. She sent a friend in my job asking my manager for me if I was working. He had said, yeah, I was working.
Don't listen to me. What are the names of the 3 co-workers who were with Miss Landry on May 3rd?
Kaylin, Brandy, and...
Kaylin?
Yes.
Brandy?
Yes, and Kelly.
How long have they been working at the same store as you?
Brandy's been there for about 3 years.
3 years? She still work there?
Yes.
Good.
Kelly, she doesn't work there no more. She was there for a year. She quit. And Kaylin's been there for about a year.
Still there?
Yes.
Now you can sit. Miss Landry, why would you bring someone who wasn't there on May 3rd and not bring the 2 co-workers who were there on May 3rd and who can support your story?
One of the, Caitlin, she was actually supposed to come, but she got food poisoning this morning. She was really sick before we came over here, so I brought Maritza Ramos because after the...
What about the other co-worker?
Brandy's still there.
So why didn't Brandy come?
Because she couldn't get the day off of work.
That's a lot of excuses. Okay. Some things make sense and some things don't make sense. What doesn't make sense is why Miss Lopez, who is working at the precise time that this happens, would start up with you when you had 3 women with you. She might start up with you if she had 3 women with her or 2 women with her. But I don't get the sense that she would start up with you, Miss Landry, when you are a group of 4 and she is 1 person. Because that's stupid. That's number 1. Number 2, the mall has 40 stores. Here, after you had lunch, you and your 3 friends, within 15 minutes, ended up in a store where she works.
It was not within 15 minutes.
Half hour. I mean, how much time do you have for lunch? 4 hours? Only I get 4 hours for lunch.
We weren't on our lunch break. We were just out to lunch.
I see. So you were just out to lunch and had the whole afternoon. Did you buy anything in her store?
No, I didn't.
Did anybody buy anything in her store?
Not that I know of, no.
How long were you in her store?
About 10 minutes.
That all doesn't make sense, Miss Landry. What makes sense to me is that you slugged her, you got even for the slug in high school, and you're going to pay her medical bills. That makes sense to me. She's not charging you for pain and suffering. She's not charging you for anything else. She wants her medical bills paid. You figured you got even. You're getting even cost you $526. Judgment for the plaintiff, that's all.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
They wrote me a ticket for battery, like misdemeanor battery.
I basically hit her back by throwing her a soda.
I went to court. The court was dropped. End of story, you know?
Ever since high school, she continued egging my car. Really immature.
I mean, it's high school. Can she get over it?
Kathy Jesse is suing psychic Leon Legant for loans to take spiritual vacations. Kathy claims Leon has yet to pay the money back.
All rise. Quiet, please. Your Honor's case number 21 on the calendar in the matter of Jesse versus Legant. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ladies, have a seat.
According to what I read in the complaint several years ago, you knew Mr. Legant, who was a psychic reader?
Yes, Your Honor.
And he owns a psychic school?
Correct.
How long had you known him?
I first met him in 1998.
How?
I saw an advertisement of his.
in a newspaper.
And have you been using him for readings since?
Counseling, yes.
What particular training do you have?
Clairvoyant training of a 1-year intensive, 3 years of teacher's training. I have over 6 years of training. I also have my certificates if you'd like to see those.
In any event, you wanted to take a trip. Mr. LeGrand was interested in going. We discussed it. He didn't have the money. According to you, you loaned him the money to go, and the understanding was that he would pay you back either in cash or readings.
True.
He went on the trip. For a while, he did, in fact, pay you back by doing readings. Somebody would keep a record of, I assume, of how much each reading was, and you would check off how much was left on the debt. At some point, he missed a scheduled appointment.
Well, actually, Your Honor, he was making payments also. There was no set schedule for our appointments. It was whenever we decided.
So he was paying in cash as well?
Actually, yes. That was mostly the agreement.
In check and or cash?
He would deposit it directly into my account, and sometimes he paid in cash, and sometimes he wrote a check. I have the deposit slips.
I'd like to see them.
Sure.
You mean he had your bank account number?
Well, yes.
Did you have a social relationship with him?
Well, it wasn't very friendly in terms of a social relationship. I mean, we knew each other professionally, and I trusted him as a teacher and my mentor.
All right, so I see you made some payments to her.
That's correct.
So you consider this a loan?
No.
Well, what was it for?
It was a donation.
No. What was the money that you paid her?
That was the interest. Initially, this is the 3rd trip I've been on with Miss Jessie.
We're talking about only this one, sir.
Okay. So in this case, Miss Jessie wanted me to go on a 2nd trip to the Philippines. I clearly explained to her that that was not something I could afford. So she decided to make a donation to the school so that the school could sponsor my trip. In exchange for that donation, she was to receive hours of readings. The payment she received was when she asked for me to cover the interest on her visa. And I agreed to do that. I was grateful for the donation. I was grateful for the donation. I have the donation right here. I have the check.
Can I see it, please?
It says donation with a big smiley face.
Were these paid out of a private account or the school account?
It was paid out of the school's account.
So all these checks were school checks?
Mm-hmm.
None yours?
Right.
You're not very clairvoyant, sir. Show this to the defendant, please. That's not the school's account, is it?
Oh, no. I may have used my own account to make a check payment. That's entirely possible.
What?
You didn't see that one coming, did you?
What? You didn't see that one coming at all? Show him this one. Your account or the school's account?
That's my account.
One more. Uno más on this page.
Also my account. Your Honor, the...
Stop! I'm not going to read your account number, sir, but it also appears that when cash was deposited directly into her account, it was deposited directly into her account with the same numbers on the accounts that were on these checks.
Can I see that?
Yes, certainly. Here you go.
Huh, that's interesting. Because when I called the bank to get copies of this so that I would know in preparation for you, they explained to me there was no way to trace that information.
Well, you do see what I'm looking at, don't you?
I do see what you're looking at. And the agreement I had with her was to pay the interest on her card.
All I'm asking you is whether the cash and the checks that she ascribes to this loan came out of the school's account or out of your personal account.
Right.
So you would be saying now that it came out of your personal account.
Obviously. I believe there were others that were taken from the school's
I'm
account.
looking to see yours.
And
you have
like
any
I
proof?
said, the bank said they couldn't trace this information.
Listen to me, sir. listen to me. Show me any checks that you have from the school to pay her.
I don't have those.
I do, however, see some checks, sir, that just say Bank of America, and it looks like they're from a different account.
That's right.
So sometimes you paid out of your personal account, and sometimes you paid out of the school account. You getting my drift, sir?
Not fully.
Well, when you have a business and you start commingling money as to what is a business expense and what is not, you have a serious problem. And clearly, in looking over this paperwork, it appears to me as if you were commingling what you considered a business expense with a private debt. The IRS doesn't like that. You should know that.
I did what I could to make sure she received her interest payments in a timely manner.
Don't you make a living from this company?
Yes, I do.
Then you should have paid her. Not commingled funds. That's a very bad thing, Mr. LeGrant. With commingled funds, the IRS is going to come and get you.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I left him a voicemail saying that, I think that this was unfair, and at which point he sent me an email.
I would like to see the copy
Sure.
of the email that you sent to her.
I was very angry.
And later today,
I hit the throttle, and the whole transom, what the motor's mounted to, almost broke right off the boat. And the gas tank came completely disconnected and spilled gas all over the floor of the boat.
Kathy Jesse claims psychic Leon Legant borrowed money from her and never paid it back. Leon says the loan was repaid with free psychic readings. He is countersuing for slander.
Can you tell me what happened that precipitated this lawsuit?
He had made his last payment in November, and in December he promised me a payment on December 20th. And I was counting on that, and it was Christmas time, and I didn't get the payment. And I had an appointment with him scheduled for the 22nd, which I was going to discuss the matter with him, and then he didn't show up for the appointment and didn't let me know.
Does he come to your house, or do you go to
No,
his
it's a
school?
telephone. It's a telephone.
It's a telephone?
Yes, we hardly ever see each other in person. And so I left him a voicemail saying that, I think that this was unfair and I should be treated better. And at which point he sent me an email saying that he really thought that was the most mean, vicious thing anybody had ever said to him. And he really, literally never talked to me again.
What did she say on the voicemail?
She was incredibly ugly. I never finished both voicemails because it was too irate and too mean, too vicious, attacking everything she could think of and everything she knew about me. Basically, what happened in the beginning of December, I was still working with her and giving her readings. She explained to me that she lost her job, she was afraid she was going to lose the mortgage on her house, that she was in an incredibly strapped financial position. She began asking me if I could borrow money from my aunt to pay this balance off, and I explained to her that the agreement was an exchange of readings. This was not
Well,
a
that's
loan.
not true, sir. That's not true, because there were payments made both out of the school's account and out of your personal account.
That was
to her.
interest.
That's what you say. That's not what I find. Keep going.
So she was explaining all of this to me. I explained to her that this was not the agreement, this was not what I was going to do. She pressured me for a number of weeks. She did ask me to make a payment on the 20th in December because 25th was a Sunday and also Christmas. I explained to her that I get paid on a certain date, it takes a number of days to clear the bank. I'll do the best I can to try to do that, but that may not happen. And that went in one ear, right out the other.
All right, good. Did you make a payment in January?
I did not make a payment in December.
Did you make a payment in January?
or
is my
January
question.
or since.
Right. Why not?
Because she threatened to sue me.
She didn't sue you in January, did she?
No, she filed, actually on January 20th, I was on the way to the bank because she had left these voicemails. I wasn't sure how I was supposed to handle this situation, and I told her that I would get back to her in January.
Well, so you were sort of jerking her around.
No.
Because you didn't pay the amount in December, because you said you get paid on a certain day, and you don't know whether it'll clear and whatever. All right, so you don't pay it December 20th, you don't pay it December 23rd. There's December 27th, December 28th, December 29th, December 30th, December 31st. She doesn't hear from you until January 20th?
No, she received an email from me explaining that I felt her messages were incredibly mean and
Well,
that
show me
I would...
you have the email? I would like to
Yeah,
see the copy
sure.
of the email that you sent to her.
I was very angry.
People who owe money usually are angry. Okay, so they were the meanest, cruelest, etc. Her 2 voice messages, and you choose to cut her off and not have anything to do with her until the holidays are over in December, because you don't want to be bothered during the holidays
Because
with
my
any
mom
bad
was in a serious
with any bad
accident.
vibrations. And I'll let you know how I plan to handle the future in January. Well, what'd you do at the beginning of January, sir? The holidays are over.
Yeah, I was thinking about how to handle the situation. I wasn't sure how to do that. The 20th was coming by in January. I decided
what,
to
the
make
20th?
it the 20th of January.
Well, so you were thinking between January 2nd and January 20th.
That's right.
Let me hear you counterclaim, Mr. LeGrand.
After Miss Jessie complained about this December incident, she did request communication from me. I did say that I would communicate with her in January about the situation. Before I had a chance to do that, she went to my website. She scoured through all of the emails, addresses, everything she could get, and began emailing everybody from clients, students, about the situation. Very, very crazy emails.
Well, show me.
Sure. Here's one she sent to the travel agent. I'll give you all of them.
Okay.
And also, as far as missed appointments, that has happened in the past.
I'm not interested in that. All she does is talk to whoever she talks to about the fact that you owe her money.
These are my students
Who
that
cares?
she ripped off my website.
Who cares? Shouldn't have had them on your website.
It has
If you'd
none
want...
of their business.
Listen to me. She's entitled to do that. She doesn't slander you, sir. She says that you have an honest dispute with her. She believes you owe her money, and you are not paying her the money that you owe her. She doesn't say anything scandalous about you. You may not like it, but she doesn't say anything that's actionable.
Mm-hmm.
Can you please explain to me how a school professing to be spiritual and ethical can attempt to steal this money loaned in good faith? That's the way she feels.
Yeah, it wasn't alone.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you something, sir. I am the final arbiter of that, and I'm telling you that it was a loan. It was a loan because you repaid it. And you not only repaid it, you repaid it, some of it out of your funds and some of it out of school funds, which you can't do.
That's not correct.
Listen. Some of the people that you deal with, Mr. LeGrand, may revere you as being some sort of spiritual leader. I guarantee you, I'm not one of those people. All right? I'm telling you, you went on a trip, you slept, you ate, you took a plane, you, not the spirits, your body took the plane to the Philippines and had a nice trip. Pay for it. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,697. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I missed an appointment.
I think that he has some talent,
She decided to use that as an excuse to refuse readings and demand money.
but that he needs to work a little bit more on his character.
Oh, I want to have nothing to do with her.
I think he's his own worst enemy, and he's on a self-destructive course.
Christina Way is suing her former friend, Ronald Matt Carroll, for injuries to her 6-year-old daughter, Tiffany, resulting from a go-kart crash.
Your claim that Mr. Carroll was using one of those bumper cars.
A go-kart.
Go-kart. At a
Amusement facility.
And you were not present.
No, I wasn't.
But your daughter was present.
My daughter was present.
Your daughter was there with a friend?
With my sister-in-law, her aunt.
And it is your claim that Mr. Carroll bumped into her and that he injured her.
Correct.
And you want him to compensate you. Mr. Carroll says he absolutely did not do that.
Correct.
Okay? So why don't you step up, because you're the only one who was there. Tell me your name.
Rhonda Way.
All right, Miss Way. You took your niece to the amusement park?
Yes, I did.
And these go-karts are in a confined area?
Yes, they are.
Really, we used to call them bumper cars. Is that what they are?
No, they're
a-
driving go-karts.
It's
They're not
It's
bumper
like on a
cars.
racetrack, a go-kart.
Like a track, yeah.
Gas-powered.
Do they have things around the cars so that they sort of cushion the blow?
No.
Yes. Yes. They have a steel framework around them.
Steel frame? No. What about rubber?
No.
No, it's not one of those ones that would be in the like a confined ring that bump each
Right.
other with the thing that drives it around.
Right.
No, they're free driving vehicles.
And everybody goes very fast?
Yes.
It's a race.
Yes. It's a race.
How old is your daughter?
She's 6.
Not too smart to put her on that kind of a ride.
Your Honor, she was the passenger in the seat with me.
I don't care whether she's a passenger in the seat or driving. It's not too smart to take her in one of these cars. There are rides specifically set up for little children. So I wouldn't take mine in one of those cars. I don't know whether you would have taken your daughter.
I probably wouldn't have, no.
No, because it's just not smart. Do they wear helmets?
No.
And these are open cars.
No.
No.
There's a roof that comes over the top, and they latch it in, and you're seat belted in.
Didn't prevent her from becoming injured.
No, it didn't.
That's why you don't take her. All right, so you exercised poor judgment in taking her as a passenger in this car. Tell me what happened.
Her and I get in the car together, and Mr. Carroll and his son get in.
You knew each other?
Yes, we do.
Mm-hmm.
He's my husband's best friend.
Go ahead.
They get in the car behind us, and we start the race, and about, I'd say, a couple laps into it, all the cars get stopped completely. And it's apparently due to the fact that he was spun out on the track. So they had to restart the whole race. Come time for the end of the race, we go into the dock, and we're waiting to be let out of the vehicles. You have to wait for all of them to get in for safety reasons and be parked completely at a stop before they'll let you out. And we're stopped, and he comes in behind us and hits us. And that's the point of the injury.
Okay. You were facing forward, so how did you know it was his car that hit you?
I turned around and saw that it was him, because I immediately thought to myself that that wasn't correct, that happened. It says on the steering wheel, no bumping.
Okay. Did you say anything to Mr. Carroll?
Yes, I did.
What did you say to him?
I told him that I thought after we got out of the vehicle, I thought that he was a jerk for doing what he did.
And what did he say?
He just laughed, and we bantered back and forth because we were
Well, I
racing
want to hear what
each
the
other.
banter was.
He was upset because he said this little kid spun him out on the track previously, and he was trying to catch up with us. He was just upset about the fact that...
No, don't tell me what you think. Tell me what he said to you, Miss Way. I only want to know what he said to you.
He just...
If you don't remember, you can tell me I don't remember what he said. But you had a conversation with him.
Yes, we did.
I think it was more of just a bantering back and forth.
It was.
I don't know what bantering means. I want to know what was said.
I want to know you didn't
No,
know.
you weren't there.
No, I wasn't. I was just giving you an
Fine.
example of what bantering would mean to me.
Okay, Mr. Carroll, let me hear your version of the events, sir.
Mine's a lot clearer than that. I was in the back of the race most of the time, so I said I've seen everything that went on during the whole race. There was 2 times there was stoppage completely on the track, and the first one was from the wreck that they were in. I'm assuming. I couldn't honestly tell you for sure if
Then
that
don't,
was their car.
then don't tell me anything.
Okay, but there was a wreck. There was a pileup in front of us, and their cart was the one that was ahead of us. And I was almost for sure it was them because I was trying to catch them. We were in a race. And the little kid who was behind me, as I was coming around the corner, he spun me out.
How did he spin you out?
He caught me behind my left tire and between the wall as I was coming around the corner. And it was a pretty good move, actually. And he spun us out. He spun us out, and when he did, he went past, and that's when I seen him go into the pileup. And I couldn't honestly say who was all in the pileup. I wouldn't really pay that close
I'm not interested in the pileup. They were
well, that's
stopped
when I
at
think
the finish
injury
line.
occurred if there was one.
Just a second.
Okay.
I just want you to tell me your version of the race. Okay, there was a pileup.
Right.
You thought it was hurt, but I want to get to the finish line.
All right. Then we continued the race. They started everybody up, and I was trying to catch up with them again. At that point, I was pretty much last. And we was coming around it was like the 3rd turn from the end, and this little kid got me again. He spun me out exactly the same way, and that stalled out my go-kart then and his. And everybody else continued on and finished up the race, pulled in. Well, the guy had to run out there and restart my go-kart and the kids and turn us around, and we came in. And as we pulled in, we seen them standing on the side. They were standing on the side. I stopped a foot behind the go-kart. I mean, not only did I not hit them in the back, nobody did because I pulled up behind that go-kart.
Okay. Now, Miss Way, how many times were you involved in a pileup?
None.
You mean during the course of the race you had no contact with any other car?
If we bumped to the side during passing, maybe once or twice. Maybe
well,
once
that's what I'm asking
But not
you.
a pileup.
How many times did you have contact with another car?
During the race or after? Because after the race, okay, I would say 4.
And when you have contact going at what speed?
I'm not sure how fast the vehicle goes, but I had it floored.
So fast?
Yes.
Certainly faster than you were going when you were at a dead stop.
Correct.
So there were 4 times when your daughter could have been injured.
No, I don't believe that she was injured.
No, listen to me. I don't care what you believe. Your sister-in-law says that the car was hit 4 times.
Not from the rear.
I don't care whether it's from the rear or not.
That's what caused the injury was the rear.
No, I don't know that at all.
Okay.
What I'm saying is there were 4 times when your daughter was in the go-kart was hit
Right.
Going full speed.
Correct.
That's 4 times opportunity to be injured. Now, would you come up here, please?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
So you only got hit once by Mr. Carroll.
Yes.
She says you got hit twice.
I think she's confused.
And later today,
You co-signed on a loan, too?
I co-signed on the car for her. I was being too generous.
You were not a very good judge of character.
No, ma'am.
Neither was your son.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Christina May claims her 6-year-old daughter, Tiffany, was injured due to Ronald Matt Carroll's actions on a go-kart track. Christina claims Matt purposely crashed his go-kart into Tiffany's.
Tell me your name.
Tiffany.
Tiffany, do you remember being in the go-kart?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Were you frightened?
Mm-mm.
Had you been in the go-kart before?
Mm-mm.
Do you remember that day when you were in the go-kart?
Sunday.
Were you going really fast?
Kind of fast.
And you weren't frightened?
Mm-mm.
Do you remember the go-kart being hit?
Mm.
How many times was it hit when you were going around the track?
One time.
Just one time? Was the go-kart going fast when you were hit?
Mm-hmm.
Did you see who hit your go-kart?
Mm-hmm.
Who was that?
Matt.
Who's Matt? That man? And your go-kart was moving when that happened?
Mm-hmm.
What happened when you stopped?
When we stopped, he came right behind us and he hit a go-kart. My head went forward and went all the way back.
So that was the second time that Matt hit you. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
And you're sure that Matt hit you twice?
Mm-hmm.
Did somebody tell you that Matt hit you twice?
My aunt that went behind and it was him.
Your aunt looked behind and it was him. So your aunt told you it was him.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't you have a seat? Now, Miss Way, you didn't tell me that you got hit twice by Mr. Carroll.
We didn't get hit twice.
So you only got hit once by Mr. Carroll.
Yes.
She says you got hit twice by Mr. Carroll.
I think she's confused.
I think you shouldn't have taken her in the go-kart.
I see that.
That's what I think. If you adults want to go in the go-kart, that's your business. But to take these children and place them at risk, they're not having a good time. I guarantee you she was not having a good time.
No, she wasn't. She was in a neck brace for 5 weeks because of this.
Well, she was in the neck brace for 5 weeks because of somebody. I'm not sure who it was, but it was because of somebody. The person that I know is at fault is her.
Well,
now listen to me very carefully, my dear. The person I know is at fault is her.
I understand that.
Good. He doesn't get any medals either for taking his daughter in a go-kart. However, I don't think that he's an idiot, other than the fact that they're both idiots for putting these children at risk. And I don't think he would do anything purposely to place his daughter at risk by crashing into your go-kart.
His daughter wasn't in the car with him. His son was in the car with him.
Same difference.
What difference does it make? You mean he likes the daughter better than he likes the son?
No.
I'm going to tell you whose fault this was. Hers. If he banged into the car, according to your witness, 4 times she was hit during the course of that race.
She wasn't rear-ended, though. And
listen to me. You can make any excuse you like. You're not paying attention, madam.
I am paying attention.
You're not paying attention, madam. 4 times she was hit.
I understand.
The first time she was hit, I would have taken my charge back and say, I am not going to put this child at risk because this is not right. She chose not to do that. She chose to get hit once, according to her, not according to your daughter, but once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, and go and finish the race. Right. So the only thing I'm sure about is that she did the wrong thing by placing this child at risk.
I think that she has done the wrong thing by taking her on the ride, but I just wanted to state what my daughter told me after the scenario of the incident.
Don't tell me what your daughter told you. She just answered my questions. And what your daughter told you is hearsay.
Okay.
What she told me was that she didn't see who hit her, but that her aunt saw who hit her and told her who hit her. That's what she just told me. Now, that may be true. That may not be true. But that's what she told me. Okay. So I'm not satisfied, Miss Way. I'm satisfied that your daughter was injured. You say she was in a neck brace for 4 weeks. That's because of her aunt. It may be because of his actions, but I'm not convinced that it's because of his actions. I'm convinced that it's because of her aunt taking her on a ride that she had no business taking her on. So, you want to be angry with somebody, be angry at her. Case is
I'm not
dismissed,
angry
that's
with
all.
anybody,
Parties are excused the next day.
When she woke up in the morning, she was in a lot of severe pain.
I had no idea then at that time they were that certain it was me.
She had structures from C1 to C5 were damaged
But I was concerned about the kid being hurt, you know. I wanted to know if she was all right.
and was in a C-collar, rigid C-collar for 5 weeks.
I would never have done this and then not admit to it at all.
No, I don't think that he did it on purpose. I think that it was something that happened, and I just wanted him to take responsibility for what occurred.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Pritzkow versus Chamberlain. Step forward, please.
19-year-old Sarah Pritzkow is suing her ex-boyfriend, 23-year-old Bradley Chamberlain, for bail money and the return of her class ring.
Mr. Chamberlain, how old are you, sir?
23.
How tall are you?
6'2".
How much do you weigh?
220.
Do you work, go to school? What do you do?
Work.
What do you do?
I sell cinder block.
Hmm?
Sell cinder block.
Good salesman?
Try to be.
Who's this lady?
It's my mother.
Do you live at home or you live outside the home?
I rent the downstairs from her.
Pays you rent?
He does.
Pretty responsible?
Yes,
Trust his judgment?
absolutely.
Miss Pritzkow, this is what this case is about. You needed a ride to school, and you and Mr. Chamberlain, who were friends
We were boyfriend-girlfriend.
at that time,
Yes.
he was going to give you a ride to school, and on the way to school, he was driving much too fast.
Yes, sir.
How fast were you driving, Mr. Chamberlain?
When the police officer pulled me over, I was doing 109.
And you were taken into custody
Yes, ma'am.
because you were going really fast,
Yes.
and she bailed you out.
Correct.
She wants her money.
Yes, ma'am.
And she says that you also have some class key or something that belongs to her.
A class key and a class ring.
And you said you gave her half the bail, and the other half should be her responsibility.
That's what she agreed to pay with my mother.
Why would she pay any part of your bail?
Because I was doing her a favor in driving her down to school.
You see where we were going, Mr. Chamberlain, with those preliminary questions, sir? 6'2", 220 pounds, a responsible salesman. Nobody put your pedal to the metal, sir, except you. 109? That was your business.
Well, she was wanting me to rush down there so she would be on time to school.
If she said to you, look, this is what I want you to do. I'm sort of short on cash. So I want you to pull into that convenience store and pull the hoodie over your head, put a bandana over here, and I want you to go in, hold up the store because I need some money. Would you do that?
No, ma'am.
Why not?
It's against the law.
There you go. You got my drift, sir.
Yeah, I understand.
So if you got stopped for a crime and were arrested for a crime and were guilty of a crime, it's not because she importuned you to get her to school faster.
Correct.
Good. Now, Mr. Chamberlain says he gave you back some money. Did he?
No, I haven't seen a penny.
You say that you actually took money and put it in Miss Pritzkow's hand. Is that right?
Yes, on about
When?
October 8th, she came up for the weekend, calling, asking if she could have her money as well as the stuff back. So we agreed to meet her at a dealership, which is where I had worked at the time. And me and my brother went over there. I called my mom, asked her if she could loan me the half the money to give to her. My mom brought $250 as well as all the items which I had in a bag down in my bedroom. She had brought those as well as $250 to the dealership where we gave it to her.
Who actually put
I handed it to her.
$250 in her hand?
I handed it to her.
Okay. And you say that didn't happen?
No, I wasn't even up on October 8th.
Were you there at any part of the month of October?
Twice. Once.
Okay, so who cares what date it is? He says he gave you $250 plus some things that belong to you. What things did you have in the bag?
I actually gave her $250 for my mom and $50 from my own pocket.
What things did you have in a bag that you gave her?
I believe it was a teddy bear, a blanket, and her jewelry, which was the class ring.
The jewelry was just the class ring?
There was a couple things in it. I think the key was in there as well.
And you returned it to her?
Yes.
In the parking lot?
No, it was on the front steps of the dealership.
And your brother was with you?
Yes, my brother and my mother were both there.
Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Step up. What time of the day was this?
It was about 8:30, 9 o'clock at night, just before the dealership closed.
Where did you get the jewelry from?
It was in a bag in his bedroom downstairs. And he called, asked if I'd go downstairs and get it, and bring that, and bring $250 out of the safe.
Not happening. If I had my class ring, I'd be wearing it right now.
When did you break up?
In the early beginnings of October.
Early in October. So if he was going to give you this money and return your property, October 8th or thereabouts would have been just about the right time. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Anything else you want to tell me, Ms. Pritzker?
Yeah, I have documentations of the bail I paid, written amount for everything.
Let's say the bail is $600. I believe that he paid you $300, and I believe that he returned any jewelry. I believe him. That's my job.
But I wasn't even there, Your Honor.
Well, you can establish to me that you weren't there at any time at the beginning of October.
I wasn't. I was there after the 17th for my birthday and to get my car.
So maybe it was the 17th. Listen, Ms. Pritzker, that's my job. My job is to make a judgment as to who's telling the truth and who's lying. And I believe that he returned the jewelry to you in a bag along with a bear and a blanket, and that he paid you $300 of the bail. But he's going to pay you the other $300 because it's not your fault that he was stopped for speeding. Judge for the plaintiff in the amount of $300. That's all. Step out.
Why does our excuse you may step out?
He's lying. He didn't pay me anything.
She received her items back,
Because I could trust him. I loved him.
and when she came calling for her money, I gave it to her.
He can rotten. Plain and simple.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Willis versus Hunter. Step forward.
Nellie Willis is suing her daughter's ex-boyfriend, 23-year-old Walter Hunter, for unpaid credit card charges. Nellie claims she was trying to help Walter establish his credit.
Miss Willis, are you a working lady?
Yes, I am.
What kind of work do you do?
I work for the Department of Defense, United States Air Force, as a tool and parts attendant.
How long have you been doing that?
18 years.
What about you, Mr. Hunter? What kind of work do you do?
I'm an electrician. I also work on Tinker Air Force Base.
Miss Willis, you don't make a whole bunch of money, do you?
No.
I'm going to give you and anybody else out there who wants to listen some very good advice. Never, never get somebody a credit card. Children, brothers, sisters, friends, don't ever give somebody a credit card, which is what you did. You gave Mr. Hunter, who was then your daughter's boyfriend, a credit card. Put your hands off your hips. Ostensibly to help him build up his credit. You did that in 2003 while they were still together. Mr. Hunter proceeded to use the credit card. I gather from your statement that you did not use this credit card at all. Is that right?
Yes, I did use the credit card.
Well, do you expect me to go through 3 years' worth of statements to see what he purchased and what you purchased?
No, I have the statements, but it was only for 3 months.
He only made purchases for 3 months?
Yes.
Okay, then I'll take a look at it. And then you say he made payments sporadically, then he stopped making payments 2004. He and your daughter broke up. He asked you to extend him a little bit of time because you were going on trial, sir. Is that right, for a felony?
No, I paid her.
Were you going on
payments.
trial for a felony?
Yes.
And according to the plaintiff, she said, fine, we'll wait until the trial is over because you had those expenses. You were tried and I assume acquitted, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
And then she expected you to continue to make the payments on the credit card.
Your Honor, he was convicted of his charges.
I was not convicted, Your Honor.
If he was convicted, he probably wouldn't be here today. This was a serious felony, according to you.
Which has nothing to do with the case.
Well, it has to do with your veracity, sir, and whether or not you could stand there and lie to me.
Okay.
That's what it has to do with. I mean, it is an issue. And notice I was very careful not to get into the particulars of the case because it is particularly sensitive. And if you were, in fact, acquitted, I certainly didn't want to reveal the nature of the charges. But if what you're telling me is that it really has nothing to do with it, now I'm going to see a statement that you have that would indicate that this young man told me a lie. Sir, it says here that you pled guilty.
To a deferred sentence.
To what?
It was a deferred sentence.
I didn't ask you what the sentence was. You weren't acquitted. It said here you pled guilty. That's not acquitted.
It's acquitted.
No, it isn't. And you know it.
Well, it is acquitted after a period of time. It's 5 years.
No. The state recommends 5 years deferred until 1/23/11. Unsupervised probation, you will fines and costs. The court accepts the plea recommendation.
I accept, but what I'm saying is after that 5 years, it goes away, so it's acquitted, basically.
That's not true.
Yes, it is.
No, sir.
That's what I was
You were
told.
found guilty, and you were found guilty by your own plea of guilty. The sentence was deferred. You had a deferred sentence for 5 years. Who was the complainant in that case?
The state.
Okay. Now, according to your complaint, you gave him a period of time where he didn't have to pay on this credit card because he was on trial for this very serious felony. And he asked you for a little bit of latitude because he had expenses. Did you pay your lawyer?
Yes, I did. And if she had a problem with my character before, she should have did an OCN check on me before I dated her daughter or came near anything near your house.
Don't speak to her.
The fact that she brings it up now is irrelevant.
Now, the charges, sir, are not necessarily relevant to this proceeding. The fact that you lied to me when you said you were acquitted of those charges is in fact relevant because you told me you were acquitted of those charges with the same look on your face as you were answering all my other questions, so I believed you. And unless she had the court documents which indicate that you were found guilty of those charges and only sentence was deferred and you were found guilty by virtue of your own plea, and you had had a lawyer from the very beginning advise you, a lawyer who you paid, so the lawyer told you that by pleading guilty you would be found guilty. And the only thing that was being deferred was the sentence, if in fact you paid fines.
Yeah, it's been paid. It paid off. I paid that off.
Well, and that's why you asked her for a little time so that she would have to cover these bills that were on the credit card. That's her statement. Now I believe her.
I was acquitted of the charges, the original charges. What I was guilty for were different charges.
Sir, you keep insisting. Notice, I did not say what the charge was. What did you plead guilty to?
To using a computer to break an Oklahoma statute. That's what I was charged for.
You're a fancy dancer, sir. You were originally charged with rape. What did you plead guilty to?
No guilt, not guilty. I wasn't.
What did you plead guilty to? Using a computer? Is that what you're telling me? On a rape charge, you pled guilty to using a computer?
No, I didn't. I was not guilty for that. And that's why there was no witnesses in that. There was nothing, so there was the witnesses wouldn't. The witness of the girl wouldn't show up.
Would you show this to him, please? Tell him to look at the highlighted charges.
This is sick.
Are you contesting any of those? $4,735. Now, how much did you repay her?
I paid her for what I felt was reasonable to what I felt I owed her.
How much did you pay her?
I paid her over $700-something.
Let's say you paid her $700, sir.
Okay.
And some of this was back 2 years.
Can I explain? There was over $4,000 in charges.
No, there were $4,735 in charges, and that's without any interest. So if you hadn't paid all of this amount, it's probably close to $6,000 or more that you owe her. Now explain to me, if you paid her $700, that would bring the total down to $5,300.
Well,
explain the rest.
I did date her daughter for a long period of time. I spent a lot of time out at their house. I did a lot of work because I was unemployed off and on. So her mom gave me duties such as yard work. They had lived on property. I built computers for her. I did computer service work for her. I filmed and taped an older daughter of hers, her wedding. I edited it, made DVDs for her. A lot of work, and I never got paid for it. And the money I should have been paid for that, I would have been making my credit card payments with that money, but she never paid me. So I used the credit card as payment. I never got paid for anything. She thinks she can feed me peanuts.
Is this your husband? Good luck to you. Your parents like him?
Yes.
Yeah, I doubt that. I doubt that a whole bunch. You have children?
Yes.
With him?
Yes.
How many?
2.
Great. Judging for the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000. Good luck to you. Consider yourself and your daughter very, very lucky. That's all.
Others are excused. You may step out.
I feel like her motivation was that I'm not with her daughter, I'm not in her family, and I'm with somebody else.
I treat him like a son.
I was going through a hard time, and she basically gave me everything and made me feel like I was at home.
I've supported him in a lot of things that he's done.
I was had problems with my family, and she brought me in, took care of me.
I only did all the things that I did, buy his meals, bail him out of jail, because he had no one else to turn to.
I worked my butt off out there for her, and she just fed me candy and fed me lies.
He more or less just spit in my face.
I'm glad it's over. It's in the past.
I honestly believe that Walter was going to do good by his word.
We all make mistakes, and we all move on.
It's sad because I didn't want it to end this way.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Mellinger versus Scott. Step forward, please.
Terry Mellinger is suing her son's former friend, 20-year-old Kenny Scott, for a loan for a motel room.
Is this your son?
Yes, ma'am.
How many children do you have?
Just the one, sir, ma'am.
Doesn't he have long pants?
He does, Your Honor, but he just flew in from Tucson where he's working out in the field and he's staying in a motel, so he has limited access to clothes other than his work clothes.
Could you bring him a pair of long pants?
But I just...
I mean, he's not going to the beach.
I know, and I apologize. Okay. I just wasn't thinking.
Ms. Mellinger, this is your complaint. Mr. Scott is a friend of your son's. Are you wearing long pants?
Yes, I am, Your Honor.
According to your complaint, the two of them went off oil drilling something, got a job someplace, and they were rooming together. And according to you, you made a loan to Mr. Scott in the amount of $500 because he was short on cash. Stand up on your own 2 feet with your long pants, Mr. Scott. Mr. Scott says that you sent money, but you sent money at your son's request to your son. There was never an agreement by him to pay you back. That's your defense.
Yes, Your Honor.
This is your mother?
Yes, this is my mom, Charlotte.
Okay. Where did you go to work, Mr. Scott?
Well, at the time we were stationed in Nevada, and then the following hitch we were supposed to go down to Tucson.
And where is your home?
I live in Spokane, Washington.
How old are you?
20.
Were you paying your own way when you went to do this oil drilling?
Yes, I was.
You paid your own rent?
Not at home, no.
I'm talking about when you lived with him, when you were working. You were living together, correct, in a motel?
Correct.
Who was paying the bill?
He was.
Why?
Because I was unemployed before that, and we agreed that we would split the motel costs after I got paid, and I hadn't got paid until 2.5 weeks into the hitch.
Okay, and once you got paid, did you give him back the money?
No.
Why?
Well, because Mrs. Mellinger had came to me saying that she wired Dustin some money and that I was supposed to have been given it, so I owed her the $500, and I started to make payments, and...
Am I scaring you? Am I scaring you?
No.
That's too bad. I must try harder. Now, you went to live with Dustin and you had an agreement, and your agreement with Dustin was, quite reasonably, that you would go to this place where you could both work and make a good living, make some money, and that you would split the room. But you didn't have any money.
Right.
So what Dustin does is he calls his mother and says, Mom, Kenny doesn't have any money. So I'm going to need some money to tide us over.
We talked about this agreement before we even left town. I said, I'm going to be broke. I'm going to not have any food. I'm going to need some help.
And?
He didn't help me with food or anything. He just paid for the hotel room, gave me a place to sleep.
Who paid the rest of the money? Your mother?
My mom had wired me some money for
How much did your mother wire you? No, don't look at her. I'm asking you, how much did your mother wire you?
$200.
About $200. And I'm sure your mother has proof of that, right?
Yes.
Right?
I Western Union the money and tried to get the receipt from them, and we didn't have time to get that.
Baloney. How much was the motel room?
Well, the first one we stayed at was a little higher price.
How much was the hotel room?
It's about $25 a night.
And how many nights were you there?
The first one we were there maybe about 4 or 5, and then we switched over because that hotel was run down.
Stand up. No, I can't stand to look at your knees. Over here. $25 a night. What was the second room?
Second room was the same. $25 a night, 25.
And how many nights in total were you there?
The second room?
Both rooms.
Both rooms.
Dustin.
Okay. The first hotel was about 5 days, and the second hotel about 21 days in the second hotel, something like that.
So you worked a total of 26 days?
Yes.
$650 plus tax, right? So it probably comes to close to $800. Did you, in fact, give Dustin back $400?
No, I didn't, Your Honor.
Why not?
Well, it was told to me that I owed his mother. I did not owe Dustin.
You owed somebody for half the motel room.
I realize that.
So my question is, why didn't you pay it to either Dustin or his mother?
I started to pay it to his mother.
You did?
She agreed that $100 a month would work, and I gave her $100 cash.
Right.
And next thing I knew, I had a letter in the mail saying we're going to court.
Did he give you $100 in cash?
Yes, ma'am. He did give me $100 in cash.
Did you write 2 checks to Mrs. Mellinger?
Yes, I did.
On an account that didn't have any money?
Yes, Your Honor.
Don't encourage him. When you have a debt in this world, you're supposed to repay it. You're not supposed to take money from strangers and then make them enemies by not paying them back. Do you understand?
Yes, I do.
The quickest way to lose a friend is to loan them money. I want you to remember that forever.
I will.
If you're a good guy and you lend somebody money, you lend a friend money, there's only one thing that I know for certain. You're going to lose that friend and you're going to be the bad guy. That's a lesson your mother should have learned a long time ago.
Your Honor, I've told Dustin that time and time again, but I am the guilty one here.
Well, you're the guilty one.
I didn't
He's
do
a
what I
young man
normally do.
who has a mother. If he needed money, he should have called his mother.
Right.
Judging for the plaintiff in the amount of $400. That's all.
How does that excuse you misstep out?
I always felt that I owed someone the money, and I was willing to make payments. I just didn't know who to pay the money to.
He lied to me and told me that he was currently working.
He told me he wasn't working, so I said, well, you know, you need to call my mom and tell her what's going on.
He just wanted to get me basically off his back.
I was told from some of the other co-workers that he went and saw some hookers.
That's not true.
I don't think that's going to affect our friendship.
I don't know, right now, after that comment, I think it's pretty much over, you know?
Jessica Crosley for an unpaid loan.
Miss Crosley, I'm going to start with you. You and Mr. Smith were in a romantic relationship for a period of time.
Yes.
From when to when?
I want to say it was about a year before my son was born. My son was born February 11th, 2019, and our relationship ended about 4 or 5 months after he was born.
And after you separated, according to what I read, you sort of remained friends.
Yes.
Great. You had some trouble with your finances, and you had serious debt. What kind of work do you do?
I'm a credit collections agent.
Not a good thing when you're a credit collections agent. And this was after you had already been separated for a long period of time. And at some point, what I'm piecing together is you discussed your financial circumstances with Mr. Smith.
Yes.
And one of your options was to seek protection in bankruptcy.
Correct.
And Mr. Smith thought that that was a bad idea, I assume, on credit cards with very high interest. And since he had credit, he would take out the loan and you would pay that loan off, which was manageable every month. Is that generally what this is about? Yes.
His behavior had started getting irrational, scary, started calling me a lot, asking my whereabouts, texting me, driving by my house on several occasions I saw.
I'm still not understanding.
Justin Smith claims his ex-girlfriend just
a year.
March of 2022, this year.
What were the payments each month, starting in March or April, principal and interest?
He had told me that it was $500.
Told you they were $500. He took out that loan, and am I correct, Miss Crosley, that you paid off your credit card debt?
Yes.
And you paid off your debt with the loan that he took out?
Yes.
And you did, in fact, create a situation where the money, because you were employed, would come out directly from your bank account to go to pay off the loan to his bank account.
Yes.
And you did that in what month?
That was started, I believe, at the end of April or beginning of May.
And how many such payments did you make?
Biweekly payments, I believe I made about 6.
Thereby acknowledging that...
In July of this year.
Why?
So I had started seeing my current boyfriend.
This is not a social show. Just tell me why.
So I had to take a day off of work to file for an order of protection.
Why did you have to take a day off from work to file for an order of protection?
Because I was advised to by a police officer I spoke to.
Okay. And I assume against him?
Yes.
Okay. Give me the incident.
Okay. So in July, when I started seeing my current boyfriend, Justin had expressed that he wanted us to get back together, and I had told him no, that was not going to happen. And then his behavior had started getting irrational, scary, and there was an incident on July 19th where I had allowed his mother to take my son to a play, and she was supposed to drop him off back to me, and instead of dropping him back off to me, she had dropped him off with his father at his work. And then I got a call from Justin yelling, saying, "Where are you? What are you doing right now?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm on my way back home. Your mom's supposed to drop off Braden." He's like, "I have Braden. I'll meet you at your house." So I said, okay. We got to outside my house, and then he pulled up next to me and then started screaming out of the car, like, "Where were you? What were you doing?" I was like, "I was spending time with Anthony, my boyfriend." And he's like, "I'm taking Braden. I'm not going to give him back to you." And my son's crying in the back seat. And I said, "No, you give him back to me. It is my day to have him." And he drove away. He later called me and said I could meet them at Dairy Queen. So I met them there. I got at me. And as me and my son started driving off, he threw a milkshake at my car, which scared me and my son very much.
Okay, good. And you filed for an order of protection. You had a trial on the order of protection,
Yes.
and the judge dismissed your order of protection.
Yes.
After the trial.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I'm still not understanding why you stopped paying on the loan.
So when I had lost my job.
You lost your job when?
The next day. The incident happened on the 19th. I had to take the 20th off to file for the order of protection. The 21st, I was let go.
Oh, that had nothing to do with you being let go. Nothing. I just want to know why you stopped paying on the loan. You stopped paying on the loan because you lost your job?
When all these incidents happened, Justin had stopped paying for daycare, which was our agreed upon child support payment. We don't have a court order for child support, but he had been paying all of daycare. I cover all of his other finances.
So that was an agreement that you had, that he would pay for daycare?
Yes.
Okay. And he stopped paying in July?
Yes, he started only paying half of daycare.
Okay, so let's go back. He started paying for half?
Yes.
How much was he supposed to pay per month?
$560 was the full amount of daycare each month.
Okay, and he had been paying that. In July, he cut it down to?
To $270, I believe.
80.
Okay, so he wasn't completely not paying. He was paying part of it.
Correct.
Tell me why you cut the payments in half, because you have a counterclaim for that.
Yeah. So in July, we started a custody case for full custody of our son.
You're talking in July. Who started the custody case?
I did.
Care, because you have that case in family court. The court there will make a determination as far as future child support and whether or not this daycare should have been paid. So you have no reason for not paying the loan.
I was planning on filing bankruptcy.
Okay, but you didn't. You didn't file for bankruptcy. You did the smart thing. How much is left on the loan?
It's in excess of $12,000 or $11,000.
What interest rate is on that loan, by the way?
36%, I believe. Current balance as of November 30th, $12,631.
How is that 30%?
These were online lenders.
Oh, wow. Okay, you have a counterclaim. Harassment. Daycare costs is out. Lost wages because you say you had to take a day off to file a protective order and you were fired? Nonsense. Harassment. Let's hear it. And don't go back to anything that you told the judge during the hearing that you had where he dismissed your application for an order of protection.
Okay, well, the order of protection.
Okay,
that was...
They're just shh. Well, if that's the testimony, it's already been adjudicated. A judge, using the same measure of proof that I would use, dismissed your case. So I'm not relitigating that case. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $10,000. Thank you.
This court is adjourned.
I believe he was angry that I started a relationship with somebody.
I think the restraining order was part of her defense as to why she didn't want to pay me back anymore.
I was ready to file bankruptcy, and he had offered to take it out for me.
I think that that's a good lesson, that you can't use the court systems and restraining orders to get out of a loan that you have really no excuse for not paying except for you lost your job. And I just think it's tricky. I think that a lot of defendants come in here and think that they can just say, I didn't have the money and so I don't have to pay it. But that's not the case.
What's most interesting to me is these 800% or 500% or 100% interest-bearing loans.
I know, it's something.
Where did that come from?
It's something I've seen recently in the past couple of years. It seems like every online shopping venue now has some form of loan payment or loan offering or
a forerunner.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge.
Thank you.
Case 2160, Canellas versus Terrina.
Thank you. Ms. Canellas, is this your son?
Yes, ma'am.
And his name is Chris?
Yes.
Okay. This case is about a truck.
Toyota 4Runner, yes, ma'am.
That was titled in your name, about 21, 22 years old, but was in the possession of your son, Chris.
Yes, ma'am.
And then Chris went to jail.
Yes.
And your great-nephew moved into that house.
Yes, ma'am, correct.
And you moved into that house with your wife, girlfriend?
Fiance.
Fiance.
Yes,
when are you getting married?
So we're waiting on our second daughter in February, so after February.
Okay, well, that's not the way we usually did it 100 years ago in the Stone Age, but I understand that that's the way a lot of people do it these days. Anyway, you moved on to the property. When you moved on to the property, in addition to some other things, there was this truck. When did you give your son the truck? In what year?
It's always been his truck, but I titled.
So it's not your truck anymore. So what are you doing here suing for it?
He was never able to go and transfer the title or go and register it. So,
Because there was not one.
If you say that again, it won't be good for you. We don't shout out here. I run a very organized shop. Got it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so you acknowledge that it's always been his truck. Did you buy it new?
I bought it used for
When?
graduation in 2005.
What's the value of it? Just
Between 3,000 to 5,000, but that's based on 100,000 miles and good condition. So.
Okay. Chris, stand up, please. On what date did you go to jail?
April 20th, 2022.
How long were you there?
Till July 11th.
What were you there for?
Drug charge.
Is that still pending? So was the truck running?
Yes, ma'am.
How many miles did the truck have on it?
Roughly 220,000.
And you were in the house and you disposed of the truck.
Amongst other things, yes, ma'am.
All we're talking about here is the truck.
Okay.
On what date did you dispose of the truck?
In August, whenever me and Susie made a verbal agreement for me to have ownership of the truck because it was no longer running.
How did you dispose of it?
It was towed away to a junk shop and used for parts.
You have any paperwork?
I have paperwork for the towing.
Great, I'll see the picture and I'll see the towing receipt. That tells you that it wasn't working.
With the new mileage, about 1,900 to 4,000 would be the range. Again, for good condition.
Okay, and this is an invoice for $75, junked vehicle towed, no keys, no title, doesn't run, wrecked. Kevin, show this to Chris. So that's what you're suing for. You're suing for the value of the truck because it wasn't running. Now, Mr. Tarina?
Yes, ma'am.
I want you to tell me the conversation you had with your aunt. Her son was now out of jail because if this happened in August, you got out of jail July 11th.
Yes, ma'am.
Where did you go?
I went to my mother's house.
And that was before the truck was towed.
Yes, Your Honor.
Chris, did your cousin tell you that the truck wasn't running?
No, ma'am.
When did you find out that the truck wasn't running?
I was always assuming that it was running. I did attempt to contact him, and he told me to come pick up the truck. And I told him I was on my way. I believe it was on the July 15th. We have the text messages here.
I'd like to see them. Okay, so this all sounds very civilized.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Chris, when did it become uncivilized?
It really never became uncivilized. We just...
This all sounds very civilized. He's living in the house now. You were not.
Right.
Some of your stuff was still there.
Correct.
You know each other a long time. He said, some stuff I'll throw away. You said, okay, but the other stuff I've got in the house, come by and pick it up. Okay.
Yes.
At that time, he had to have told you that the truck was not running because he said the truck is at the exact same spot where you parked it.
Right. Well, I just assumed they didn't have the key because a lot of my belongings got thrown away.
Well, they didn't have the key because the tow people said that there was no key.
Right. That's just why I assumed the truck was still in the same spot.
Okay. Now you find out that the truck is not running, right? Because you went there to pick up some of your stuff. Come on.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, and that was in July because you said you were coming over July 15th.
Yes, ma'am.
So you came to his house where your truck was sitting.
Yes, ma'am.
What did you find out about the truck?
The truck was still in the same spot and it wasn't running.
Same spot.
Same spot.
Did anybody prevent you from taking the truck when you came?
No, ma'am.
Then why didn't you take it?
Just simply for the key. I didn't have the key to turn it on.
Just a second. April, May, June, and July. So the car had not spot from the time you left now, and there was no key. So you had no idea whether the truck was running or not, right?
Well, I just assumed that it wasn't running because of the key, the no key.
If you were that interested, you would have found out. You would have called a mechanic. They would have come. They would have jump-started the truck, and somebody would have made you a new key. Then you could have taken the truck. He doesn't have to keep your truck on his property.
Well, first of all, my family member said that they were evicted. They had not been evicted.
What evicted? What does that have to do with the truck?
At the time, Your Honor, he, of course, was incarcerated.
No, he wasn't incarcerated. He wasn't incarcerated when you gave him the truck.
No, he was not.
No, I see. I have the dates here that you told me. He wasn't incarcerated. He wasn't incarcerated for a year, and he didn't transfer the title.
I asked my family member if I was able to go into the house and remove all his items and look for the key and the title so I can have the vehicle removed and
I have text messages right here saying that she doesn't like being lied to and she's gonna go the court route. I had an officer knock on my door at 8 o'clock in the morning and serve me papers, try to give me a Grand Theft Auto charge.
Susie Canales claims her nephew, Noah Tiarina, owes for the cost of a Toyota 4Runner.
What I'm telling you is he was not prevented from taking the truck the day that he came, which was mid-July. He didn't dispose of the truck until August. That's what this receipt says. I think. No. This invoice was prepared 2 days ago.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, this doesn't say when they took the truck. How did you get this invoice 2 days ago? It was from August.
I got the invoice because I needed it for evidence, and the towing company that sent me that invoice gave me the incorrect day because they sent it to me on the day that they sent me the receipt.
Doesn't say the date it was towed. Junk vehicle towed. You have any email communication or text communication immediately after the vehicle was towed or before?
With her?
Yes.
I called her the day that it was towed because I have respect for my family member, and I said, I'm towing. She said she wanted $500. I told her that I could pay it in monthly increments.
Why would you want to buy a truck that was worthless?
Because I have respect for my family, and I hold family very close to me. And if she says that something's not right, I'm going to make it right. And that's what I tried to do. I failed on that first month of I was supposed to give her $100. I did not pay the first $100. I have text messages right here saying that she doesn't like being lied to and she's going to go the court route. I had an officer knock on my door at 8 o'clock in the morning and serve me papers, try to give me a Grand Theft Auto charge and have a felony on my name.
Okay. Can I see the text message that she sent to you afterwards? Did you recall, Ms. Canales, having a conversation with your nephew? How was he supposed to pick up the truck when he just got out of jail the day before you had it towed? And I asked for permission to look for the keys and title, but everything was moved out of the garage. At that time, I was taking my mother to the hospital. But it's okay, I just go through the court process. Regardless, you're going to get your money, Aunt Susie. So it's clear that you had a discussion with him about money because he says to you in response to his statement, so I don't see anything here about $500, but he says, I'm going to get you your money. Mm-hmm. Well, you didn't say to him, what money are you talking about?
I just told him I was done.
You said, I'm tired of the back and forth, which leads me to believe that that's exactly what happened. Do you have any other documentation of this communication that you had with her? I mean, it's a useless piece of junk of a car anyway.
The only thing I have is a letter of me mailing her the money order. That letter that I mailed her, I have no idea where it is.
Well, I don't know where it is either, but that's a self-serving document. I don't care. But you acknowledge that you told her that you would pay her $500 for the car. She's the registered owner. Is that correct?
Correct.
Judgment for the plaintiff and the amount.
This is the only reason why he's acting like that, and that's why the reason my mom is so upset.
It's sad that it had to end that way for a family member because family is something that I hold very close to my heart. And I don't like to see it in that way.
He had free run of all my belongings, and he ended up selling it.
But at the end of the day, it's my livelihood and my fiance's little livelihood that's at stake.
He knows what he did.
I did not take advantage of my own family. Never.
Yeah, it's tore us up a little bit.
It can't be put back together.
Troublesome. I'll tell you some of the troublesome things that I didn't even want to go into with them. He went to jail in April. Mm-hmm. His mother knew where the car was. She could have gone to get the car. She had 4 months.
Yeah.
Her son went to the house when he got out of jail in July.
And all he had to do was do the same thing the defendant had to do. Call a tow truck, have it towed to your house.
Right.
Get an extra key made.
Right. And I thought that he was actually a pretty good nephew.
Yeah, I did too. He didn't have to pay for the car, but he felt for his aunt and the situation that she was in.
Case 2162, Newton versus Estrada.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Newton, you retained the services of Mr. Estrada to make you a costume.
Yes, ma'am.
And it was, according to your complaint, you make a living as an influencer?
Yes, ma'am. I produce content.
Now, Sarah has actually tried to explain that to me, what that is. And I think the kindergarten version of what she told me, you are on the internet, and your idea is to get as many people to follow the things that you do in your life as possible, and you post on the internet.
What is your
your pictures doing whatever you're doing, and then when you have enough people, advertisers, people who make products, pay you to tout their products one way or another, and that's how you make a living.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
No problem. Anytime.
Okay. So you don't produce anything. You just being you.
Well, no, but I do own 3 companies, and one of them is...
I get that, but it's all to support your primary function.
Yes, ma'am.
As we had a case years and years ago. It was one of my favorites. It was a guy who was being supported by a woman, and quite frankly, I couldn't see what this perfectly delightful, productive woman, what she saw in this guy. But I said, she gives you this, she pays your rent, she pays for your food. What does she get in return? And I'll never forget his answer. He said, she gets a me. So I don't know why that came to mind when you're talking about being an influencer. What do you, how does that happen? Anyway, you asked Mr. Estrada to do this costume for you for $1,000. You paid him a $500 deposit. He delivered the costume, albeit he delivered it a little late, but you accepted it, and then you didn't pay him for it because you say it was not made well.
Yes.
And you have the costume now.
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Okay. In addition to the costume, you gave him another costume that you wanted him to just put another applique on of something. It was a relatively minor thing.
Glue something.
Whatever. You asked him to do something. It was work. He's not your brother, uncle, father. You're not related to him. That's his business. And when you refused to pay him the balance of the costume that he made for you, he has the other costume, and he says, when you pay me, you can get your costume back. Am I clear?
Yes, but we have talked about creating multiple different costumes in the future, and every single time there was a dollar amount mentioned. This was never discussed. Okay. You discuss it prior, but that was never discussed.
Well, that's true. And whose fault is that? That he was just supposed to put an applique on of some sort of a creature, a spider or something. If you gave it to him, and this is his business, then you say, how much is it? So I'm just letting you foment that in your head, sir. When did you order this costume from him for $1,000?
August 7th.
And he delivered it in October.
October 8th, I believe.
And what was wrong with it?
Many, many things.
Just say you have it with you.
I have every single bit of the costume with me.
I'd like to see it.
You like one piece at a time?
No, just a second. That's a boot. What else?
This glove.
Just a second, that's a glove.
Yes.
Okay.
And he actually has plenty of pictures that he sent me in the chat that he was actually making the glove himself. This comes from a costume store, almost 20 years old, and he said he was making me one.
Okay, keep going.
And this belt right here, I only tried it on once to see how everything fit, and by the time I tried to take the belt off and on, it broke between 20 minutes of use in the house, just testing it out in the mirror.
I just want to see that. I see boots, I see a glove.
There.
Looks perfectly normal to me. And that's put on with Velcro.
Yes.
No big deal. You put on another piece of Velcro. That's a substantial belt. Put it back. What's your next complaint?
Well, number one, not only did
Just a second. I don't want to see the glove anymore. I saw the glove. I saw the boot. I saw the belt.
Well,
Where's the rest of the costume?
Here's the other boot.
Just a second. Hey, where's the rest of the costume?
We don't have a mannequin or something we could put this on? We don't have a mannequin or something we could put this on?
We could put it on him. Put it on him. Ask him to put it on. I want to see.
Newton claims costume designer Robert Estrada sent him a poorly made superhero costume. Robert is countersuing for the balance owed on the costume.
Okay, now, would you do me a favor? Just put the belt on. I know that you can't use the Velcro because a piece of the Velcro came off. Put the belt around. I just want to see how the belt's supposed to go.
For the record, it doesn't go like
Just
this.
a second. I didn't ask you anything. I just said put it on. No, you have.
It's actually really difficult with this robe on.
Now turn around. Oh, okay, very good. Now you can take all the show and tell away, and you can take it off.
Your Honor, if I could say something.
You don't have to say anything. I've seen the costume for which he wanted to charge.
We're looking at the showmanship. This should be one continuous piece.
Mr. Newton, get a life. Get a life. Get rid of that stuff. Put it over there on that chair. This is not a $25,000 costume. It's a $1,000 costume. If you go into a store to buy any costume, without boots, without leather glove, it's a couple of $100. Not made. And if you don't like the way it was made, don't use the services again. According to what I read, you have lots of costumes.
I have two. The one there and the one that he brought of my possession.
Oh, okay, so you just have two costumes.
Yeah.
Great, now you have two. Now you pay him $500 for the costume that he made for you. That's the balance that you owe him for the costume. Now we're going to talk a little bit about the...
I'm not accepting the costume because it's
Just a
not
second.
up to my...
That's why you're in court, sir. I don't care whether you like it or not. Don't use his services again. He made it. You bought it. Based upon my view of that, it may not be. Life is not perfect. You're going to pay him for the costume.
I paid for
You're going to pay him for the costume. That's it. That's why you're here, for me to make a judgment. If I looked at this thing and didn't think that, for instance, when you sent him those boots, were the soles falling off the boots?
No, there were not.
I didn't think so. That's for my benefit. He's going to pay you the $500 that he owes you for the costume.
The belt wasn't.
And then he bought it.
The belt wasn't falling apart either, but one use, and within 20 minutes of trying it on, and voila.
Just a second, Mr. Newton. I'm done with that. I'm on to the next gig. I'm on to your other costume that he was supposed to put an applique on. You have that costume?
I do.
Very good. Now, I want to tell you something. He didn't send those boots with soles or wore it anywhere, and I know they don't fall off by themselves, and he didn't send them that way. So you figure out, let the people out here figure out what's in my head, how the soles came off both of those shoes.
You can tell me why one piece of the costume has a bigger arm than the other.
Listen to me. I'm not hearing you anymore.
I don't think you're being very fair.
Listen.
Just to be fair. I'm a big fan of you, but I don't think you're very fair right now.
It's not a popularity contest, sir. You bought something. I bought many things. This is not.
Which is why I decided to take this to court.
This is not. You're out. You're gone. Goodbye. Your case is dismissed. Do you want your costume back?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. How much was it to put the applique on it?
It was $100.
$100. Very good. Judgment on the counterclaim, $600. He gets the costume back.
Yes.
You understand?
Completely.
We're done.
Thank you.
Court is adjourned.
I paid a pretty penny for something that was just fabric and boots.
I tried to explain how the costume works, and unfortunately, he didn't really listen. He doesn't listen.
It's one of my favorite.
Hear me tell him how the suit goes on.
So what do you think the likelihood is that the defendant shipped those boots with the soles the way we saw them in court today?
0.
I totally agree. I think that the plaintiff thought it would help his case to have a little bit more destroyed of a costume than
drama.
Maybe it was, and doesn't look good for him.
Actually, I thought that what was sent, the boots were substantial. There's no question that he dislodged the soles from them before he came here. The belt was a really substantial belt. What he was complaining about was a piece of Velcro.
And it's a costume belt. Velcro comes off, the clasp
and you
come
put it
undone.
back on.
You just super glue it back on.
Absolutely right. There was clearly $1,000 worth of work that went into that costume and putting it together with the boots and the belt and the glove. It was really sort of outrageous that he...
Xin chào mọi người, chào mừng mọi người đã quay trở lại với kênh của mình. Và hôm nay chúng mình sẽ tiếp tục channel tô màu các bức tranh. Hôm nay thì mình sẽ có một bức tranh về một bạn mèo nha. Đây là bức tranh của mình ngày hôm nay. Chúng mình hãy cùng bắt tay vào tô. Trước tiên thì mình sẽ tô chiếc mũi cho bạn mèo nha. Tiếp theo thì mình sẽ tô phần tai. Bây giờ thì mình sẽ tô màu cho bạn mèo này. Mình sẽ tô màu tím nhé. Mình đã tô xong phần đầu và tai, bây giờ thì sẽ tô đến phần thân nhé. Mình đã tô xong phần thân của chú mèo, còn phần đuôi thì mình sẽ tô màu đen. Và như vậy là bức tranh về chú mèo đã được hoàn thiện xong rồi. Cảm ơn mọi người đã theo dõi video này của mình. Xin chào và hẹn gặp lại ở các video tiếp theo nhé. Tạm biệt mọi người.